broadcasting to you live from Andy's Tunnel, deep in the bowels of Shawshank State Penitentiary. This is the Wicked Theory Podcast. Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me?
I wonder what that sounded like, that intro.
I'm just expecting Agent Palmer to be in the chat room.
He
Where
did.
are they?
He just said, where did the sound go?
Yeah.
Where are they? I still don't hear them. Just messing with us. We're actually coming through, but he's doing it, and everyone else kind of comes in and acts like.
So, this.
Anyways.
Should I introduce you guys? Probably. So
No.
joining us, he hasn't been here on a Saturday in a while, folks. Dom Torrey's here.
Man who invented the hamburger was smart. The man who invented the cheeseburger was a genius.
We also got Uncle Jay.
Rock and fucking roll.
And I got my brother Bob on guitar.
Welcome to Dysfunction Junction.
Oh, my God.
Hey, Ed's not here this week, so I figured I had to bring in a quote, and
And
that
you-
was like my favorite one
No,
that I had to bring
that
in.
was great.
Was that John Goodman?
It was it's a Matthew McConaughey quote actually.
No, I like it.
All right, okay.
The way you delivered it was like Ed delivering it, though.
Yeah.
I was trying to channel Matty Mick, but I can't do the impression because like it's so fucking
Matthew
hard.
McConaughey.
It's all the
Yeah.
words.
You were working on that, but you was actually coming out more like Christopher Walken,
Hey, that's fine.
which isn't bad.
Yeah.
That's
You know?
hey. I really wasn't
Make-
trying to do
Got it.
anything. I was just trying to not do my voice. Really, was what I was trying to do.
I'm not Dom. That's who I am.
It makes you
But
feel
hey,
your
happy to be
dial
here, guys.
faster.
Hey,
What's up?
hey, thanks for coming by, baby.
We
Good to
gonna
have
fucking
you.
talk about nerd shit today or what?
We're
What
gonna
the
get
fuck
right
we
there.
doing
Are we
sitting
gonna
here
fu-
like a bunch
Jesus
of fucking?
Christ, all right, let's get fucking to it. All right.
Anything happening in the Nerdverse or what?
Oh my God! All right, all right. First things first is episode 118. We're gonna get to news, okay? And even though he's not here, we got the DC TV report from Ed coming in strong.
Of
this
course we
week.
do.
Fan favorite.
He's only got the preacher, but you know what? Ed really likes that Captain Marvel, and he puts these retro picks in it that are randomly picked. And this one's Captain Marvel from the 70s, like that
Right.
that two
The Billy
season.
Batson,
Yeah, they drove
show I grew up
him
with.
and the old guy drove around in a van helping
yeah,
people and
the camper.
shit, like every 70s show, you know.
Captain America did that, too, in the
yeah,
70s
yeah,
with
yeah.
the motorcycle and the
Yeah,
van and the
that's
fucking
right.
helmet.
That's right. That's right. Used to launch right out of that thing. So stick around for that. That's going to come in. It's like our little intermission
Okay,
later
yeah,
on.
that's cool.
Maybe some email. If there's some email in the account, we'll
Email.
check on that.
Email.
If people want to send us email, send it to podcast@wickedtheory.com. I think that's really it. People should check out What's Your Work with Uncle Jay. Agent Palmer did an episode. I did an episode. That's our buddy Chad NV. He's got his own little podcast he's working on. And then
Join the family. Started
Listen
his
to
own
the episode.
podcast.
It was really great. Great discussion.
Jay.
Good job, Jay.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
job,
Thank you
Chad.
very
If you're
much.
listening, really digging the show so far. I think I've listened to every episode.
Yeah, it's
I don't
good
really
show.
have a job, so I can't really come on. But
Fair enough.
when I do have a career, maybe I.
It's career professionals only, you think?
I mean, you know,
He let us on.
that's true.
I mean, you know?
That's true.
I think he's already bending the rules a little bit.
Well, hey,
You know. So, because I didn't even talk about my job. You know what I
It's
mean?
true.
That's true.
I did.
I should have talked. I should have
you
talked
fucked
about.
up his show
talking
before it
about my
even
job?
really started. That's what you did.
Actually, if I talk about my job, it would probably be a pretty interesting show.
Yeah, you'd have some
But-
stories. I don't know how much you could share
yeah,
without crossing
right,
the line
yeah,
of
no.
professionalism, though.
Yeah, that would be something. Something might actually come back to haunt me if someone heard me talking about the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I was just thinking because before the show you were talking about how I worked at Mom and Dad's Deli back in the days, and I should have talked about that because I had plenty
yeah.
of stories about that
Dude.
era of my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. About all the kids how they used to try and steal.
No, just trying to keep them the hoops I'd go through to try and keep them
everything
under
under
control. But maybe that's an after show conversation. So we do the show live. We do it live every weekend on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can listen to it live on Mixlr.com. I don't know if I mumbled that enough, but it's Mixlr, MIXLR.com /
Wicked Theory.
dash. There's a
Wicked
dash.
dash theory.
Yeah.
Don't fucking spell the dash.
Dash.
alright?
I know. Yeah, don't spell dash.
Just put a
You know,
dash.
unless you're actually dash. I can see why you might do that out of habit.
True.
From dash.
Yeah.
From
Dash Gordon.
Cash.
Dash Berlin.
Dash.
Dash.
Yeah, I couldn't think of it. Isn't there a cartoon character? That's name is Dash.
No.
No.
Sonic.
It
Maybe
might-
you're thinking of.
No, it might be
Like a
no,
Chippendale
there's
cartoons or a Disney cartoon character?
Dash might be.
Oh,
some
Crash
Disney
Bandicoot. You're
cartoons.
thinking of maybe.
No, there's-
No.
what about no? Is that like Pooch Patrol or something
Some
like that?
I feel like there's a like
There's
a,
a
some
dash
kind
on
of like
that or something like
animal
that, yeah.
cute character.
I thought you were trying
Dash
to.
Rendar is the name of a
My Little
Star
Pony.
Wars.
My Little Pony.
All right.
Dash. I think it's Dash.
We got
Only
You
you would
spend
know
way
that,
too much
Bill.
time in a comic shop.
Yeah, that's how I know. Thanks, Dom. Whew, good save. All right, let's not get into my collections. Who's in the chat room? Does anybody know? Can we find out? I think we might have people in the chat room.
Yes.
I'm not in it.
We got
Wesley.
Wesley. And an elsewhere. And an elsewhere.
Wait, let me log in.
It's too early for that. Wesley.
Wesley. Hey,
Wesley.
Wesley. Rainbow Dash. Thanks, Agent Palmer to the rescue. Producer Agent Palmer to the rescue. He's clarifying for me. Rainbow Dash is actually the name of the pony, and that's where that was coming from.
Well, I think Dash Rendar from Star Wars is cooler than fucking My Little fucking Pony.
that's what I meant. Is Dash Rendar. That's. I didn't mean no pony
fucking
thing.
7 minutes in, we're already pussying out.
Woo! 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 All right, so people, there's a chat room game. I'm gonna read it off. I'm gonna get crazy.
A brony over here.
Hey, it's Jabroni.
Jabroni.
Food of the Rings. That's the game this week. Like Lord of the Rings, but with food. Use whatever you want, like Smeagol and Lox.
So food up the Lord of the Rings. basically.
Rivendell a la mode.
There you go.
LOTR, Return of the Burger King. Whatever you want to do. If it's food related, you could use a business name or a product or whatever. Just go crazy, kids. And we'll come back to you and we'll see if you kids were funny or not. How about that? Is that too much of a challenge? Am I putting too much out there?
I don't think so.
You know what I mean? Is it too much of a workload?
Hey, I've been calling myself Lord of the Chicken Fries for years, so you know.
Chicken fries.
Got chicken fries and
They
fries.
still make the chicken
I just
fries?
had a plate of French
don't know.
Frodo's.
At the BK?
There you go.
I haven't had BK in
Bob
a
already
while,
dropped
but-
one of French Frodo's.
But there was a.
Did you say it?
Yeah,
French
yeah.
Frodo's.
Nice.
He slipped it right in there. I'm like, we got to hold on a second. That was good.
That's my new Twitter account.
That was good.
French Frodo's. Is good.
Somebody probably thought that already and was like typing it in, and it's like,
Bob. There's a T-shirt, I think, like design coming from Ripped or T-Fury, like any day now.
there you go.
It's
Just a fry with his face
Bob
on
on French at French Frodo's on
French
Twitter.
Frodo's. Just a French fry with Frodo's face and a ring on, stuck on in the middle of the fry.
So here we go, because we only got our buddy Dom for a limited time only. Get them while supplies last. We're gonna jump right into stuff.
right now.
We're gonna cut this
Oh, I just
fucking
created-
nonsense.
I just created the French Frodo. I'm sorry.
No, I know, I know.
I got interrupted because I just
No.
created the perfect idea.
Fair
You
enough.
get a little onion ring,
Okay,
put it around the French fry, and
Sure.
the French fry's got the face of Frodo.
there you
There you
go.
go.
There you go.
And maybe you could just see the inscription
Right.
Wrapped around the.
wrapped
Nice.
around the
And
onion ring.
and Golem is like doing the dip, like precious. All right. Precious. Okay, that was better that time. Let's get into the news. Let's do some news. Bob, you got a jingle for news?
Jingle.
Like a theme, like a theme song,
Maybe,
some kind of music with a K.
maybe a little something like this.
Yeah.
Metal.
I just want to throw this one out real quick. Not that it's like a real trailer review, but like finally saw this thing they were talking about was coming to Netflix, Disjointed, which is like a workplace comedy at a pot dispensary run by hippies and stars Kathy Bates, like sitcom. So that's all I got. I think that's all. I think that's all you need to know.
It's about our after show.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but it's like everybody's doing bong hits, everybody's smoking weed. It's obviously the running gag is anything pot
Oh,
related.
so it's the Uncle Jay story in
Right.
the 90s.
I thought a lot of people we know might be able to relate to this one a
That's a
little bit.
Netflix original, though.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
First episode title. Mm-hmm. What?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So I really didn't catch like much more of what is going on there, but I don't think you really need to know. You know, it pretty much says everything you need to know, and she's leaning right into it. She's like some hippie mama from back in the day, or whatever. And I think, you know, she runs the dispensary, and
That's awesome.
you know, shenanigans ensue from there.
The
She's
season,
good
the
actress.
season under title. Dude.
It's all that stuff. It's all that. It's all what? Huh? Dude, no.
Whoa.
She
So-
could actress. She could pull that off.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
yeah. She looked like she was having a blast actually. So with that, just wanted to kind of throw that out there real quick.
Having a blasted.
Tim Miller, moving on.
Yes.
Tim Miller is going to direct Neuromancer. That's a William Gibson book.
Mm-hmm.
Never read it myself. I don't know if Jay might have read it.
No, I haven't. I know of his work. I've
It's one of
never
these
read anything.
cyberpunk books that's been around, well, since he wrote it. But I mean, it's just, people have been talking about it like forever, like in the background, like one of these classic sci-fi kind of things. Led us down the rabbit hole of The Matrix and Johnny Mnemonic, for lack of a better other reference.
Well, I've heard that they've wanted to tackle this material for a while.
Yeah.
Getting Tim Miller interests me a lot.
Tim
Tim
Miller, for those who don't know, directed Deadpool.
Yes, he did.
And wow, shit, I can't remember off the top of my head, but a couple other things. So I think it's
He from Music Video World,
maybe. I feel like he didn't do a whole.
or is that Tim Hunter?
I don't know. Rip Hunter,
Porn, maybe?
porn,
Pornographic.
Puss Hunter.
You see what you did there?
Hey, all right. So that's a wait and see kind of thing, but it was interesting. Some interesting news. Jay, you want to take the next one? Or?
Yeah, I'll take a crack.
Take it.
You know, because Ed decided not to be here.
Right. We gotta pick up the slack now.
But Mila Jovovich
Mila Jovovich
is taking the title villain role in Hellboy, Rise of the Blood Queen.
So she's the Blood Queen.
So she's the blood queen.
That's fucking offensive.
But
I remember reading not that long ago that they were actually not going to be making another Hellboy movie.
no, this is a different team.
so now,
Ron Perlman?
No, different guy.
Gotta be.
Yeah,
it's
this
gotta
is
be.
the
He's given up on that.
yeah, this is the whole new revamp that's going underway. It's a whole
Right.
different creative team.
What intrigues me is they got Ian McShane to play the professor. That was played by John Hurt in
Okay.
the other two
Nice.
films. So that intrigues me a lot. And David Harbour is playing Ron
Hellboy.
Perlman.
Who people may know as
Right.
recently was the sheriff in Stranger Things.
Right.
Has one of my favorite fucking movie or TV quotes of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
Yeah, he doesn't do well.
That's
in
like
the
a
morning.
fucking yearbook quote, bro.
That is.
Mornings
that
are for coffee and
is.
contemplation.
If only I could go back to high school and put that in now.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I wish.
Hey, you
I
can
wish.
still put it like in your Twitter
I
bio or
wish.
some
I
shit.
wish. I remember for years I would still have dreams, like how like you randomly have dreams about things. But anyway,
Cold dreams.
yeah, at night. But I would be stuck in my fucking school,
Okay.
and that took years to wash out. I don't know about anybody else. That's
Oh,
just
like
a
a
personal story.
chronic thing. That
Yeah, like every now and then,
repeating?
recurring dream
Okay,
would
yeah,
constantly
yeah,
be
yeah.
in the fucking, because they were doing construction on a high school I was in at the time. So we were always jammed in like a third of the high school. Every staircase was like just cattle. So
Was
I would
it-
have,
was
so recurring thing in my dreams, it was like I would have like, when like you got to go somewhere, or it's always like a rush in a dream. Like everything's,
Oh yeah, of course. Was
Everything's-
it Curtis or was it?
Port Richmond.
Oh, it was Port Richmond.
Port Richmond, yeah.
That's right. You went to Port Richmond, and then what was the other one?
Oh, Concord.
Concord. Right.
And then GED.
Right. Right.
Yeah. No one could contain me. I refused
Nobody
to
was
be
trying to
contained.
contain you.
They really weren't.
Nobody gave two shits.
No, they really didn't. Those doors were open.
But anyway, about this
In our
Hellboy
family,
property.
the GED is genetic, bro.
Oh yeah. It runs in the blood.
Well,
Definitely.
anyway, about this Hellboy
Yeah.
property.
All right, we were talking.
Neil Marshall is directing this.
Okay.
And Neil Marshall is one of my favorite, B-level directors. And I say B-level. He did Doomsday. He did The Descent.
Okay.
He did Dog Soldiers. I don't know if anybody saw that. That's a really good movie.
but I do know these.
Is it
these,
exactly that? Is it Dog Soldiers?
Dogs. It's a werewolf film.
Yeah.
It's kind of like these guys up in the Highlands of Scotland and they're
Yeah.
fucking
Is it a
killing
World
werewolves.
War II? No.
No, it was.
I'm thinking of something. That's a vampire thing with World War II.
Right. That's
Dead.
no. Dead Snow.
Dead Snow.
That's no zombies and Nazis.
Right.
But Neil Marshall also did a handful of Game of Thrones episodes.
Okay.
Oh,
So
wow,
here's the
okay.
thing to keep in mind with this is basically the new Hellboy is definitely going to go for more of a horror angle, and they were saying that trying to kind of like drive away from that camp
Right.
so much. I mean, not to say
R-rated.
there won't be some moments of levity in there, but definitely trying to go for a more serious vibe.
R-rated too. It's going to be
Nice.
for the adults.
Nice. So this week, Netflix.
So thank you, Deadpool, for that one.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's true. So this week, Netflix, a lot happened. kind of. Disney dropped all their movies. Have announced that at the quarterlies that they're going to be pulling out all their stuff. Not the Marvel series. That's a joint product, thing. But anything that's kind of coming up as hitting their the renewal for like all their movies or TV shows, because they're going to go streaming. They're finally going to come up with a service, which I think said a long time ago was like, why they're such a behemoth. They should have had that up and running a long time ago.
Yeah, it would make sense to me.
What I mean?
Yeah,
You
Rogue One is on Netflix now. I'm sure that's going to get pulled.
Yeah, exactly.
They should just buy Netflix.
Well, that's the thing. Does Netflix even want to be bought? Like, you know what I
No,
mean?
I guess not.
I think that Netflix is trying so hard to just kind of be its own.
No, they'd be better off buying a competitor than Netflix. Netflix is the king of the block. It'd be too friggin' expensive.
And I would feel like immediately like that's just going to ruin Netflix. Like, I feel like what's good about Netflix right now is that they're just kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? As far as like, especially with the content,
Yeah.
like everyone like this last week, like, cause it came out, they were like, I don't know, 20 million or 20 billion in debt, one of those numbers. And so
Who, Netflix? Really?
Yeah, but
No
they
shit.
but they're intentionally running in debt because they want to vastly increase their library, like, you know what I mean, with original content. So right now they're running at a negative, but it'll bounce.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah,
Yeah, they haven't had a really bad run so far as far as being creative and putting out some great stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a real issue here in the long run.
Yeah.
They just better not go so far in debt that they can't run long enough to start getting money back.
Well, that is kind of a thing, because what people did talk about a couple articles I saw about that was that, they're going to hit a saturation point in the U.S. market where it's going to be like, okay, like, now you've got, access to Netflix on like every possible kind of platform. Everybody who you're really going to get has gotten it, you know what I mean? So it's about even though they've been doing it, it's going to be more of a focus than for them to get original money growth outside of the U.S. You know what I mean? So you'll
Well,
start to see them building a much more original content internationally too.
Well, if there's a fucking company that's going to bounce back out of debt,
Yeah.
I would say Netflix is at the top of the list.
Sure. So Disney isn't much of a loss for them really, because a couple announcements is also that David Letterman's coming back. He's going to do a 6-episode run
Oh, cool.
on Netflix, 1-hour shows, more of a real kind of interview, longer
beard?
form. I don't know if he's going to have the beard, but he popped up on Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald's got a podcast that he puts to YouTube, and he did an episode. He popped in. Dave ain't gonna pop up on anybody's show.
No.
But he's got a soft spot for Norm. You know what I mean? And so he did like an hour at Norm. It was chopped up. Like, you could see it was like, I don't know if it was really about time as much as that maybe Dave was like, like probably got really loose with talking, and probably after like 5 minutes was
probably.
like, you gotta cut all that out.
Yeah,
like I
probably.
probably talked a lot of inside shit. But anyway, so that's going to take a little while, but that announcement came out, so I was kind of excited to see what that's going to look like, because it's going to be like a little bit more longer form, filmed bits and stuff. I don't know how much it's going to be comedy versus interview.
Yeah, and he'll have basically free range.
Yeah.
Say whatever the fuck he wants,
Yeah.
basically.
And, like, what's that going to look like,
That would be interesting if he's like just saying fuck every 2 words on
Well,
that.
I think the thing is for him, like, I don't know if he's that guy.
I could picture him being that though. You know what I mean?
Sure. If that's how much of that's the thing. Like, David Letterman's one of these guys who's almost like an enigma in a way. So it's like, oh, sure, we've seen you do network television all these years. So what are you going to make when you have complete free reign?
Right.
Like,
Well, I could picture him totally coming on camera first episode and saying, "Okay, let me get this out of the way. Fuck.
That felt good.
Okay,
Right.
Now,
Isn't that what I did?
Now
when
let's
I-
just worry about doing the show, and if I
Right.
say anything like that,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
Right.
And then just kind of going on from there and not worrying what he says.
Oh no, yeah, and that's why I wonder too if it's gonna. I doubt it'll even be a thing with like a desk or a monologue or even like kind of like that. Like, I wonder, because like Jerry Seinfeld does that, drinking coffee in cars with
Yeah,
comedians.
yeah,
It's like
I've
a
seen it,
filmed
yeah.
thing. Like, I mean, I kind of wonder if Dave might just do something that's like not Oprah, but like, that's just a different kind of setup for an interview. Like, meet up someplace outside, go to somebody's house, or is it just going to be a thing where it'll be a set? Like, I don't know.
I bet you
No.
2 to
I
1
would-
he misses it. He
would
misses
really-
being in the.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just thinking that maybe something like doing a cartoon overlay of like the two of them doing whatever they're doing with their voiceovers. And more of like a voiceover thing, but then like the characters are the cartoon characters are playing out more
playing
or less
out
what's
what they're
going on,
saying. Yeah,
what's really going on,
Sure.
or something, just something different.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's what I mean. Like, will he do any kind of?
Right.
Will he do bits at all? I wonder. Like, I wonder if he's lost his funny. Is kind of what I'm saying. But also, the Coen brothers are bringing a show now to Netflix too, and that's the other kind of big news. Which the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which was kind of like if you follow any of this kind of stuff, it was percolating a little bit in the headline in the press a little bit because they were doing a lot of casting for it and stuff, and it was a question of where it's going to end up. And so, as much as all the other kind of like big name kind of guys, kind of like shit on Netflix or like VOD and these things, but it's a series though. It's not a like a movie type thing.
Well, maybe this will help Adam Sandler because Adam Sandler has went into Netflix seeming like a bit done,
Right.
And if more and more people are coming in,
Pardon me.
who are going to be doing more creative stuff,
Mm-hmm,
and then it becomes more valid. Maybe this becomes an avenue where he doesn't look like he's just washed up and trying to keep going.
Yeah, but the content of those movies were fucking trash, and they're a joke already. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
like
no,
if
I'm
he
talking
came
about-
in there with
I'm
like
talking
real
about,
material,
he did. He did a show with that character who was supposed to be an agent, a Hollywood agent, but he was a bad one.
Okay.
But everyone knew him.
All right. All right.
So he did one.
yeah, okay.
But
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying he came in. He was like one of the first
Oh, absolutely.
stars to do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he
yeah,
came
where they
in-
gave
he
him
came in past his prime though.
Oh yeah.
And
this is the Coen brothers too. It's like a
So-
whole different animal too. You know what I
right.
mean?
So now we're talking about guys like this coming in. Maybe he can actually find his rhythm now with this whole shtick that he's got going, and it won't keep feeling like an old Saturday Night Live skit.
Well, that pretty much is.
Anything-
Wait, that might be the best way to describe Adam Sandler. Is like he is a literal Saturday Night Live skit that went too long.
Yeah, I mean, people were done with him even before I was. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
I was kind of like enjoying his films here and there, and
Oh, you liked Click, huh?
Click wasn't that bad.
I'll
It's
tell you,
worse.
You know
It's
what's
far
funny?
worse.
You know what's funny with Sandler is that I think the tide started
Grown-ups?
turning for people with Little Nicky. I feel like he was doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But then Little Nicky, whether you liked it or not, like you had to kind of say like that kind of like was a movie people were like, I don't know if I'm getting it.
Yeah, but that's because of the nature of that story
Oh,
and the way
yeah.
it is. It's so fucking weird.
And
Like, that has
annoying.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with it really.
And he's
being an Adam
and the
Sandler
character
thing.
is annoying that he's playing with
Yeah.
the voice.
It is.
and
It
everything.
tires in
Yeah.
5
Well,
fucking
it's,
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an idea that shouldn't have been made into a movie.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, at least Click had an
It did
idea.
well though.
yeah.
And they went with
As a
it, and you got
character.
Yeah.
people like Christopher Walken to help him out,
Sure,
and Kate
sure,
Beckinsale.
sure.
You know what I mean? But he can act because look at Punch
Yeah.
Drunk Love.
I kind of got the
Which
feeling
is a
with-
really good
with
movie. I
Click,
don't know if
like,
I mean, look at the Cobbler, man. The Cobbler was fucking great, dude.
All right, moving on. Last bit in the news here: scientists have named the prehistoric crocodile after Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
But here's the thing.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. This crocodile is actually supposed to be a very mean, cantankerous species.
right.
And if you know Lemmy at all, or from what you like, if we've heard or anything like that,
Okay.
he's really not a curmudgeon.
Right.
know,
He might
drunken
have the
guy,
look.
like,
You might get that impression from his
Yeah.
visual look
Right.
and that voice, but he's actually like a big softy kind of a thing.
He's
Well,
kind
not
of-
softy,
no,
but I mean like
no, he's a nice guy.
Right, he's
that
approachable.
doesn't take any crap from anybody.
I ain't no nice guy anymore.
Scientists have named the prehistoric crocodile described as one of the nastiest sea creatures to have ever inhabited the earth, after the late Motorhead frontman and British heavy metal icon Lemmy Kilmister.
So maybe the Croc's got a British accent.
Well, London's Natural History Museum says the fossils of what's now known as Lemmisuscus obstudians was dug up in England in the early 20th century, but was incorrectly categorized with other sea crocodiles found in the area. Researchers recently took another look and gave it a new classification and a scientific name of its own.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I've seen the Isles of
What? Oh, good. I can't just do a voice.
R-A-M-O-N-E-S.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty fucking cool. I was hoping there was like a
Yeah.
picture of it. Maybe that was like a reason. Like it just looked like him.
It
Maybe
just
a
would have
little
been a picture of Bones.
In a hat.
Yeah, maybe an old Civil War hat.
Come on, baby. Hate the rich.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! All right. So
Oh, I like that
with
song.
that,
It's a great song.
Iron
we-
Horse, Born to Lose.
oh yeah. Let me share that ashtray with you. Where have you been ashing?
That was my first ash.
Wow.
'Cause I've been talking.
Really? Okay. All right. So we're like Dom is chief of the ashtray moving now.
How about I just put it there and you guys?
Just put it up your fucking ass.
Is we got anything else for news?
No, that's gonna do it for news.
All right, so we should check in on that chat game.
We should probably check in on that chat game. See, this kid, he don't miss a beat. You know, just because, you know, don't think because he wasn't here, folks. Like, he don't know what the fuck is going on. This dude's on top of shit. All right, so we're gonna
You don't have cue cards or nothing.
nothing.
I
He said he doesn't even have the doc open.
I have
You know what I
nothing.
mean? He's just going by memory.
You want me to read them off? There's not many.
Let's see what we
Oh,
got
he
here.
can still remember shit.
Yeah, let's go back and forth. You start it off, buddy. What we got here?
We got Bilbo Berry,
These are Food of the Rings.
There you go.
BLB Bacon, Lettuce, and Bilbo,
Saru McMuffin Man.
Green Eggs and Goblins,
Nice. Broccoli Beard.
Aragorn on the
As
Cob,
opposed to Treebeard.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Legolas Maego,
Nice.
nice. Yeah, a little bell on
Yeah.
that one. Go ahead.
Helm's Deep Fried Orc. Very good.
Corned beef hobbits.
Gimli.
Oh my God.
Lord of the Nacho Ring, the two tacos.
Oh, and then Sauron sauce, the hottest sauce in Middle Earth.
They were all Agent Palmer and two by Wesley.
Nice. Well done, boys. Well done. Thanks for playing.
Thank you guys.
Woo. You can keep on playing with that if you want to. I never said that to another man.
Yeah, you did.
Probably.
Bullshit me.
I mean, I was young. All right, so what did I know? You know what I mean?
I think they call that testing the waters.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
expanding your horizons.
I thought it was Netflix and whoa. All right, so I think this. You know what we'll do? We'll know what we'll do because we're running tight. We're running tight. We gotta get Dom. We gotta make sure Dom hits his window.
I have a window.
Yeah, you have a window.
Okay.
I think that's what they call it in the biz. Oh
Window,
no, he's
yeah.
got a hard out. That's what that means.
He's got a hard out.
That means a very specific time. We have to.
He might have a hard on
has to
too,
be
but
out.
he's having a hard
He
out
has
with
to
his
be
hard
out
on.
by a certain time.
Hopefully, something like that. happens.
Rocket, hit the bell.
Bob's not liking that the bell's not near him. I think is what's going on over there. What? Who said put it over there? Oh, I fucking hate it. I hate it.
But this is the guy that you wanted to do the music thing.
I didn't
so
realize.
You just put any instrument in front of him. This is what he's gonna
And
do.
he's gonna wail
There you
because he's heavy metal, so
He's
he's
a
got to
fucking-
wail, right?
He's a natural musician. He's gonna wail regardless.
Almost. Don't mess up your whole your or your goods.
Oh,
and-
sweetie, ladies and gentlemen.
all your goods and business over there.
Good
All
night,
right.
Cleveland.
All right. So
Pour it. Just pour it.
This is our second show together, my friend. We should do more. We should do our own podcast.
fuck that. We're playing lightning round.
It'll be all about New Jersey Devils.
So we're playing lightning round. Remember lightning round? We
Yes.
haven't played this in a while. You know why we're playing it this week?
Cash.
Because Jimmy Fallon stole the bit.
He stole our bit.
Not literally, because we stole it from somebody else, but they called it Think Fast on the Tonight Show this week, and he played it with Aubrey Plaza. There's a clip. I put it up on
No
my
wonder
on
why
Twitter.
you found it.
So, but it's you know what's funny? It's a running pattern where I've
Dude
noticed
loves Aubrey Plaza.
yeah, I do love Aubrey Plaza. But I've noticed that he's some other stuff that he's done on there. It seems like it comes from podcasts too. So I think people on his writing team, like,
Yeah.
where they're constantly pushing for like
Yeah.
little games and stuff. But
That's virtually like what all those writing teams really are. It's like the person whose show it is, and then it's like a bunch of like there's like maybe 3 or 4 writers, and then it's
Yeah.
all like college interns, basically.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
And they're all just
So-
spitballing. It's like,
E-
oh my god, I
exactly.
need to make an impression in the room.
Yeah.
I gotta comb the internet for other people's bits.
So that's how they stay fresh and fucking.
Yeah, they didn't really they didn't do it like we do it exactly. They kind of trimmed it down for time. They only do 5 questions. We do 10. All right, so questions are all kind of pre-set up. I don't know. I'll just kind of give these out any old way. These are the questions for Jay. Dom,
Okay.
you'll read those to him.
All right.
I got your questions. for
Jay's
you.
got my questions.
Now, am I?
Bob, I guess just take his because I got yours, Bob.
Am I?
Those are the ones you're gonna read.
Yeah. But am I put in a box with my voice, or can I read them in another voice?
Like you want to do characters?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, you can go. You can do whatever
Because
you want
I'm
to do.
thinking about bouncing around a little bit here.
You can have fun with it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I want you to have a lot of fun with it.
All right.
So just remember the bit as fast as spit something out. All right.
It's
doesn't-
not called lightning for no reason.
You know what I mean? It don't gotta be great. It ain't gotta be special, but it helps if it is. In case you were wondering. All right.
A little bit of thunder for your
All right,
lightning.
Bob. We're gonna do you first. How's that sound? You ready?
Oh, no pressure.
No pressure, baby. No pressure. No pressure. No pressure.
I love this. I love this fucking bit.
Bob, you ready to go?
No.
Okay.
Next question.
Next. that was question 0.
Nice.
Well done. Question number 1: Who started the war in Star Wars?
The contractors. That's not.
Oh,
Fair enough.
Wow.
Question number 2: Who makes the best bologna and cheese sandwiches?
Grandma.
Question number 3: What's the fastest way to San Jose?
Shove a broom up your ass and start flying.
Question number 4: Who invented the hokey pokey?
You did.
Thank you. Question number 5: Nobody knew, but the Titanic was actually made of.
Cheese.
Question number 6: What does Keith Richards call his guitar?
Maureen.
Question number 7: What could Houdini never get out of?
His own way.
Question number 8: Porky Pig's favorite hobby?
Eating bacon.
I had a feeling. Question number 9: Who famously said, "Let there be light"?
Oh, I got one.
Uncle Jay.
James Taylor.
James Taylor. Okay. Question number 10. Question number 10: Fidget spinners are actually part of a secret plan for world domination by who?
Jesse the Body Ventura.
That makes sense to me, folks. There's a conspiracy. There's a conspiracy. When I was governor of Minnesota,
I think that was
I
one of
knew
my better ones.
everything there needed to be known as governor of Minnesota. Minnesota.
You need a little
I need more.
aggressiveness
Yeah.
is good, but the accent. It's like the Minnesota accent needs to.
I need to find that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
work on it.
Fargo-ness you need. You need more Fargo.
I need
basically.
more Fargo.
Yeah.
I need more emphasis on my O's and my ooze.
Yes.
I'll figure it out. I have to. That's tricky.
it's-
I can't. I'm having trouble trying to blend those two right now in my head. I couldn't make it happen.
I actually watched some seminars, guitar seminars from a guy who was actually from Dakota. And he says, instead of
one?
saying root,
Okay.
he says rut.
Right. Okay.
So instead of ooh, it's
Ooh, it's So I was taking the wrong rut up the mountain.
Yes.
basically.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll work on it. Mean Gene. Mean Gene, you don't know. All right.
That was
Are
good.
you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
All right.
I'm in this jungle with a big gun. Okay.
There's too many impressions here, so when I do mine, I'm just gonna read it straight. I'm not even gonna bother.
Freedom's workout. All right. So who wants to go next?
I'll read Uncle Jay's.
Okay. Tom's got Uncle Jay. You ready?
Let me clear my mind.
Let's get a little lightning in here.
Let's do it.
Who started the Trek in Star Trek?
Ed.
In the unmade prequel, who is James Bond's mother? What were Robert Loggia's last words?
I'm dying.
I'm dying, Billy.
If
I'm dying, Billy.
If it's a lose-lose situation, who wins?
Me.
I'm buying it.
Duh. Which way did he go, George?
South.
The fuck is that, Bill? Before going down to Georgia, where did the devil go? Looking for a soul for to steal.
Newark, New Jersey.
Ooh. What happened to the corners of all the paper in Battlestar Galactica?
They burned. I don't know.
Coffee, tea, or me?
You.
This next one's relevant. Which is the sexual equivalent of a ground rule double?
Conolingus.
Is that it?
No, wait, one more.
Okay.
What is an unused tagline for Army of Darkness?
An unused tagline for Army of Darkness. We're actually Evil Dead 3.
Can't argue that, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you play a lightning round.
Bang.
All right.
It's never called Evil Dead 3.
Fair enough.
It's called its own
Fair
thing.
enough.
Yep.
Bob's got a list of questions.
Those are for me, I assume?
for you.
For me, I assume? Okay.
All right. No pressure, Dom.
All right.
What would a Smurfs spin-off be titled?
Cthulhu.
Okay. What happened to all the troll dolls from the 90s?
Well, what happened was they got hurt in an accident. They got prescribed opioids, and then they couldn't get the opioids anymore, so they went to heroin. And heroin's a slippery
stepped
slope.
up. They stepped up.
Yeah,
I got you.
basically.
It's a trend.
China.
That sucks.
China.
Explains a lot, though.
Yeah.
What name did Indiana Jones have for his whip?
Whip.
What's a better time machine for Bill and Ted than a phone booth?
Double-sided dildo.
Well, that would make Time Travel very interesting for sure.
It's better. It's definitely better.
Who's the best unsigned rap group from Narnia?
PWA, Polar Bears with Attitude.
Oh, I love it.
You beat me to it there. Mary had a little lamb and a little... What else?
Fingernail.
Okay.
I don't know.
Like a Coke nail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Coke
A
nail.
little fingernail. Like, you know when you look at people and like their fingernail just doesn't meet the end of their finger?
I
It's like,
gotcha.
the fuck's wrong
It's
with
like a
you,
baby
freak?
toe fingernail
Yeah.
kind of thing. I got
Yeah.
you. It's not. It's all malformed.
Exactly.
Who was runner-up in casting to Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman?
I'm pretty sure that it was Susan Boyle, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Linda Hunt.
Susan Boyle. Susan fucking Boyle.
She's an Amazon. Come on.
Okay.
According to the internet, she's lost a ton of weight.
I believe it.
What Marvel superhero should Steve Buscemi have been cast as?
Squirrel Girl.
Gollum. What was on the official flag of Alderaan?
Luke's hairy backsack.
I don't even know what a...
Is that like he lost a ton of weight, so all that loose skin went down the bottom of his back?
It's just like the
It's all
back of his
hairy.
sack.
Oh, just
the back of his sack,
back
okay.
sack. Just
I
sack
mean-
back.
Sack back.
Backsack.
That sounds like a new variation on hacky sack.
Yeah, yeah. The poor guy.
It's basically lacrosse.
Either way, it's hairy. That's
All
what
right.
matters most.
Last question.
All right.
Right.
Milkshakes bring boy to the yard. What makes them go away?
Milkshakes bring
Ed-
boys to the yard. What
Ed
makes them
O'Hare.
go away?
Ed O'Hare.
Bill's arse face shirt.
I like it. I'll take it.
All right. Who's
Works
the next
for
victim,
me.
Bill?
I think there's only one left, right? I think Jay.
You.
It's me. Jay's got questions for me, kept stashed secret, locked away, written by Agent Palmer. Are we ready for this?
My fucking Gmail account. Should I do it in Australian accent?
Whatever you like.
Who would win in a fight? The Burger King or Ronald McDonald?
Everybody in the drive.
Bill, apparently the volume's low. So maybe
All the volume?
Check 2.
Our volume is always low, Bill, so just crank everything.
Wesley, Thomas,
Wait,
Palmer, what do you think? Can I get something in the chat?
wait. Okay, get.
You guys have been going off. Can't get anything right now. Oh, you're still listening. Oh, you're there.
There we.
All right, go fuck yourself. Keep going.
All right. So what was? Where were we?
All right.
It was on question 2. Hold on.
Okay.
How does Darth Vader take his coffee, Bill?
How does Darth Vader take his coffee? He takes it dark.
What's the secret
Darth.
ingredient in metal yellow?
Urine.
How does James Bond's villain Jaws get through airport security?
One leg at a time, just
Very
like anybody else.
Very good. What was Frank Sinatra hiding under his hat?
Hervé Villachez.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Still a little low.
The plane.
Who is Panthro's celebrity crush?
Panthro's celebrity crush is Mum Mutt. Mumra's dog.
Fair enough. Is Gordon Shumway actually? If Gordon Shumway actually had a business, what would it be?
It would be Gordon Shumway, roofing and siding.
What do Oompa Loompas do in their spare time?
Hula hoop.
Fair enough. What's in the
Hula
case?
hoop and Oompa Loompas?
I think they dig for dragon glass.
What's in the case at the end of Pulp Fiction?
An old
Hervé Villachez.
an old container of potato salad and 2 bus fares that are out of date.
Wonderful.
Where are they going?
Now, Bill, last question.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go.
In a movie about my life,
Jay's life.
what's the tagline?
Oh, I got this.
Careful.
Uncle.
Careful now.
The man, the myth, the reprobate.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. We'll take it. There you go, folks.
And that concludes lightning round. I
That
think.
concludes the lighting round. Woo. Woo. The storm has passed. Oh boy. Woo. Oh,
40
boy.
questions later.
Man. All right. So I'm hoping that maybe these channels were down. I'm hoping that kind of fixed the audio for everybody.
Still a little low.
Yeah. Well,
How we doing now, Wes?
how you feeling? We're all coming a little closer to the mics.
Yeah, we're all yelling a little more.
You know, we're gonna get assertive. We're gonna just, be aggressive. Be aggressive. You know. All right. Enough of that. All right. So, well done. Well timed.
Kiss.
Some well timed flatulence. This show is classy. Why would you tweet me during the show? I don't know why people would tweet me during the show. All right. I'm never gonna see it.
Maybe because you tweeted during the show, but it was really Palmer on your account.
That's possible. But Tom's K got me on the Twitter like, yo, turn up the volume, son.
Oh, well, he should have just.
You know,
should've
I don't know.
Well, he said it in the chat, so
He might be on assignment in the jungle or something.
Well,
I
he
don't
said
know.
it in the chat first, so I assume because
Oh.
we didn't answer or acknowledge it.
He was trying to desperately to get attention, and he was being super helpful, and I shouldn't have accosted him verbally.
Yeah, and he's a very loyal listener.
He
so
is.
Thank
he
you,
is.
Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm sorry.
Tom Gay.
Tom K.
Tommy Gay.
Live and let live, you know?
Tom Kirk.
So, I tried the question of the week again. I thought maybe we get something out of it, but I don't know. Well, so it was, so which celebrities do you think are secretly aliens? And why?
Oh,
So, to kind of get it going, Bob immediately said Tom Cruise. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he loves that Scientology. But looks wise, I think Sarah Netzley's got it right that that Babadook Canterbury
there you go.
from Sherlock Holmes, that dude looks like a gray. He looks like an alien in a skin suit.
Nice.
Lyle Lovett comes to mind.
Oh yeah, Lyle Lovett definitely. If he could pull off this flesh, and I'd be like, okay, lizard man underneath.
Like if he the skins.
he molds. Does he molds?
See what comes out.
I'm gonna go with like Jennifer Aniston, just because like there's no way like a human can produce something that perfect.
like somebody's super hot ladies.
But we don't want
it's
her
like
to be.
it's like it's like a suspect like alien was just like, let me fucking do some shit and make myself look perfect.
Right,
you know
right,
what I
right.
mean? Like,
The optimal human specimen.
Right.
Yeah, right. Tom K, we mentioned it before. He tweeted. He replied to the tweet. It was like Betty White and Linda Carter, because how can two ladies that old still be so hot? And I'm like,
lots of plastic surgery these days.
Same to say for
Betty White and Linda Carter.
also Raquel Welch.
Yeah. Okay.
You know
there
what I mean?
go.
But that's that Latin heat, man.
Yeah. Well,
That's that the Latino blood, man.
Yeah.
marrying a plastic surgeon. That's what that is.
A lot of women, Latino women that are like 50 and
Right.
above, they look great.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
And then Wesley was like, "Would you consider Einstein a celeb? Because he had to be an alien, just because he was."
Yeah, he would have to be a celebrity. I mean,
Just because he was so smart. Was he too smart for us?
Oh,
I
definitely.
see his face on fake dollar bills everywhere. So
He's definitely like he was an alien when he was alive. Like in that he just wasn't really one of us.
I would say he was probably the
too
only celebrity on a faculty staff. Seriously,
Well,
I mean,
you know,
'cause,
it's him and what's the science guy now in the wheelchair? Fucking
He taught with Princeton, right? He was
Hawkins. Hawkins is like another one. You know, where it's like super genius. You know,
yeah.
but Hawkins like, I'm so smart, I'm not gonna let this fucking handicap slow me down. I'm gonna talk to you through this fucking. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Hawkins came here
I
too.
am not going to let this thing slow.
no, the
Me down.
No, the government just decided they weren't going to let him die because he's been degrading since he was in college.
I was gonna say like maybe he was on a maybe
he
he
was-
crashed and
he
that's
was
why he's
standing
all
upright and
crumpled up.
walking around when
He's
he was
l-
in college, and then he started doing work with the government, and things started going downhill physically for him.
Maybe he got exposed. to
So what you're
something.
saying is he's
My
Darth
hope-
Vader,
Well,
basically.
basically, yeah, he is. The government's keeping him alive, more or less.
like Dick Cheney was the fucking was the Palpatine or something.
That,
I don't know, what do we
That's definitely.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, there's something going on with that guy.
Yeah, how can you have that medical malady this long and still be alive? I mean,
You know what I mean? If you're so smart, why don't you fix it already? Come on, genius. I'm just saying. You know. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. That's silence.
The concept of time.
Chirp, 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 chirp. All right. So that's the end of the show, and we're done.
All right. Well, if
Bye.
there's a nice little
Well,
break
for one of
here,
us.
if there's a nice little break here,
There is a little break here.
I'll do you guys a favor.
Oh, just make a segue.
Make it easy.
Make it easy, brother. I almost called you brother Dom. We're not related.
might
but
as well
like,
be.
you're in the brotherhood for sure. Appreciate you swinging by and hanging
Brotherhood
out
of
for
the
a little
Sweeney.
You're making the right decision.
Leaving early, getting out while the getting's good.
Well, yeah. I
Is
mean,
what
you
Dom
know,
is saying. Who are you? Jay. Jay is saying.
they always say there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know. So
Leave him wanting more.
I wish it was me leaving.
yeah.
Under your
I'm hoping you get
circumstances.
yourself some tunnel tonight.
Oh, snap.
on that night, go fuck yourself.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Dom Torrey. Dom, looking forward to talking to you soon. We gotta do some
Later, Dom.
Patreon stuff, but just so folks know, Dom is the one who's always asking me about when are we doing Patreon stuff, and I'm the one who's always like, not today. Now, and tell the family we appreciate the donation of the chair. Thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there goes Dom Torrey.
Tom Torrey, ladies and gentlemen.
Dom Torrey, ladies and gentlemen. Turn the knob.
Leave that open, all right?
All right. So, all right.
Cash.
So now that we burned through the entire show
Catch.
to get him out on time,
In 47 minutes.
woo!
Sorry, 49.
Let's go do a couple emails, I guess. And this is look, a little more.
What about meanwhile?
Oh shit! You're right. Oh, you're right. You're right,
We
you're right.
skipped meanwhile to do the lightning.
So sorry. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Let's take a look
I
at
got
it.
some shit to say.
You got listen. I know it's mostly me.
You
in there.
always have shit.
And actually, I got
You
Dom.
drive here from Newark because
Exactly.
you have shit to say.
I tried from north to.
And boy, do you, because now that Dom left and he had Skull Island in there,
Yeah.
me and Bob got nothing.
You guys didn't watch anything? Did you
No,
rewatch anything?
Actually, no.
Did you reread anything?
I'm reading a book now, but I'm not going to get into it today because I want to get further into it a little
Just
bit.
fuck that.
But I'm still catching up on Ozark. I'm behind an episode on Twin Peaks. Jeez. I watched the first two episodes. Yeah, there's a party. There's a party out across in the parking lot.
Yeah, in the parking lot.
You want me to get you guys some hamburgers? Go crazy.
No, it's African food. I'm very, very spicy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. At the very least, yeah.
And there's only one toilet.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that it's bad.
Close
food,
that
it's
door
just-
before they think it's
just
that.
extremely-
before they come down here
People
and
start
crash our
wandering,
party.
you know, like, hey, this sounds like you guys are having a good time. A lot of laughs going on down here.
Whenever I've had African food, it to me it doesn't look very, very pleasant, and it's very, very spicy. So, not that it's bad, it's just, you know.
Well, I just saw
It's a lot of
Mickey Mouse
spice.
balloons when I
Yeah.
came in, so that's all I saw.
There's a cooking style involved with this stuff. So
Basically, yeah, it comes down to Jay. This is this is like all you. All right, so Wind River. You saw Wind River.
Wind River, yes.
And who's in that?
Is Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen.
I can go shit now.
Hope it all comes out all right. Well, I'm not. I don't usually take that long. Ed's not here.
So
No, Wind River is is the new film with Jeremy Renner, Elizabeth Olsen, Graham Greene of Dances with Wolves fame.
Wolves.
But it's from writer.
Do you think that movie would have done as good if they just called it Wolf Dancer?
It did do very well for its called Dances with Wolves. But we don't like to talk about that in the urban reality because that beat Goodfellas out in the fucking Oscars.
Oh, is that what?
And what movie do they talk about more now than
Oh, forget it. Yeah,
stands the test of time?
absolutely.
But it reminded me how good of an actor he really is. Though.
Right.
You know, he's just like
Wind
you know,
River, right.
yeah. Graham Greene, I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
But Wind River was written by the guy that did Sicario and Hell or High
Okay.
Water.
Okay.
His name is Taylor Sheridan.
Okay.
And this is a movie that we did a trailer, Cash or Trash.
Right.
And I believe you and I cashed it.
Okay, yeah, because I was kind of interested. I wanted to know more. I wanted to see, especially by the trailer, I was intrigued of like, how does this really fall in the end? Like,
Right.
You know, what's the tone here, really? You know?
And Ed trashed it.
Sure, sure.
I mean, because he thought it was too procedural was
Right.
the word he used.
Yeah.
And that may very well be.
Sure.
But the fact is the way the tone of this movie is like Sicario and Hell or High Water, where it's really like deep.
Yeah.
And it's gritty.
It's a thinker
and it's a
burn,
thinker, and it's a
right?
really damn good mystery that I was kind of hooked into it.
The surprises and the twists kind of worked for you.
Not,
They all, did
not
you see
even that.
anything?
It's just like every clue that comes into the movie, the way it's done on the screen,
Okay.
the way it's executed on the screen. The guy directed. This is his first time directing, I believe.
Okay.
And he did a really good job with it. I thought
all
with his
right.
own material. Jeremy Renner brings it home. You know, he's just a good actor
Sure.
all around, and so is Elizabeth Olsen.
Right.
There's not a bad performance, but just when you keep going and going with the story,
All right.
you're locked in and locked in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's never a dull moment. And then I'm looking at this film, and I'm like, as a whole, this is one of the best movies of the year.
Okay.
I'm giving this the full, my 4 stars, and my full stash.
Nice.
Stash on this.
Nice.
I don't want to give nothing away.
Okay.
I want people to go and see this. It's released independently,
Okay.
so it's not in as many theaters. It's
Right.
There's a couple theaters in Jersey and a few theaters in Manhattan.
All right. So people might have to look around a little bit.
They might have to look around. I don't know if it's going to go bigger because
Yeah.
it's getting really good reviews.
Right. And where is it taking place? 'Cause-
It takes place in Colorado.
right, but it's winter.
Oh, I'm
right?
sorry, Wyoming.
Yeah, because I know it was all snow, and
Yeah.
I wasn't sure location-wise.
And that too, you learn a little bit more about how they're high up in the mountain area. It's an Indian town and
reservation and all that
little,
kind of stuff.
Little, not really a reservation, but just
Okay,
a town.
good
and
with the community
They
is.
get deep into that,
okay, there's
cultural
history,
thing.
right, the town's history.
And
The outsider coming in's got to get brought up to date, kind of thing. Gotcha,
but
sure.
they accept him because he's a tracker, Jeremy.
Right,
Renner.
right.
And I'll only say this: there's a murder
Sure.
that's going on, and they found this woman frozen, and they're investigating that, and little by little they realize that this is getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. You get to dwell into Jeremy Renner's character a little bit and his history and why he's so attached to this particular
Right.
thing, and
Okay.
he gets deputized by the FBI and which is Elizabeth Olsen, and to check out.
And it kind of rolls out from there.
Exactly. I don't want to give too much away
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a really good mystery.
I think that's enough for the setup, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much what you take away from the trailer, but good. No. I was kind of like intrigued by that movie, by that trailer, and I was curious as to hear how that
Yeah,
went.
it's the trailer doesn't do it justice. I think that this is something that we want you to go see this movie. We want you to see this movie and be surprised. And
Right,
it really is damn
right.
good.
Well, that's the thing. That's probably going to be the shame of it in the end. Is it's probably going to go onto people's radar a little bit. They might have to kind of build a second life.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be one of those movies where it's like, oh, it's going to be a word of mouth, slow rise for it.
Yeah, well, it's getting really good reviews. I checked like Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's
So they might push more theaters out then.
maybe if it does like really well and
Yeah.
it starts like getting some
Traction.
some
Buzz.
famous critical response.
Okay, fair enough.
And I think it is. It's a really damn good film. It's one of the better films I've seen this year.
All right. Well, speaking of good films,
Yes.
you know-
Iconic films.
I'm-
5-star films.
I'm going to put all that in air quotes. You also saw Doomed, the untold story of Roger Corman's The Fantastic Four.
Yes, and I urge the both of you, Bob and Bill, to see this.
Right. I was already on my radar. I didn't know it dropped. Or like, has it been out for a while?
It's I
Or
think
did
it was
just
made.
finally drop?
It was made in 2015.
Okay.
I think it finally got some very low theatrical distribution in a couple theaters here and there.
Okay.
But
No.
it's on Amazon Prime if you guys have that.
Okay, I got that.
You got that?
I got
Yeah.
some of that.
You can
I got
see
some
that.
of that
You can
Prime.
see it for free.
Cool.
So
Bob was going to pose
I'm
a
sorry?
question.
Well, no, I was just going to ask you which movie, for people who don't know, which movie is this talking about?
well,
This
that's
is,
why I'm gonna
Yeah.
get to that.
So,
As we all know, there
Right.
was a Fantastic Four movie made in the early '90s that never saw the light of day. Really.
right.
made simply for to keep the license,
Right.
basically.
Correct. Which I actually did not know. We were talking about this during the pre-show.
Right, yes, right, yeah.
Basically, Marvel was not known for their great movies back then. I
Right.
think the only thing that was great at the time was the Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
We got a Punisher movie, we got a Captain America movie, and then came the Fantastic Four,
Right.
which was produced by Roger Corman for $1.5 million. And then it never came out. There
Yeah.
was trailers, there was theatrical trailers, there was a poster, there was
And
It starred, if I remember correctly, it starred the movie theater janitor as Reed Richards.
no, actually,
No?
Reed Richards was he was a known actor, character actor. At the time.
Yeah,
Alex
yeah.
Hyde White, his name was. But the production, like I saw the trailer for this in a theater.
right.
I saw the posters hanging in the theaters, and I
Right.
also remember Film Threat magazine many years ago. Chris Gore,
Sure.
he was hired as the journalist for this movie.
Right.
So we were expecting this. This was supposed to come out in theaters, and then it just never showed up, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like 2 years later, bootleg copies started showing up at Comic-Cons and whatnot. And I finally saw the film through a fourth
Bootleg.
generation
Oh.
VHS.
Yeah. That's
or
like when I
whatever.
first saw The
I've-
Punisher.
Yeah, I've never seen this, so it's actually something I want to see.
Right. Well, The Punisher did get released on VHS.
Oh, eventually, yeah.
Yeah,
But when
and-
it first got shelved,
in the
'cause it got-
80s.
yeah, because it got shelved for a little while.
Right.
They didn't know what to do with it. But I have the Mac the Knife version, which is the opening sequence is set to Mac the Knife, but they never got the credits. They never got the rights for it. So you get to see Punisher slowly kill mobsters off camera.
Right.
Set to, when the shark... and it's so stupid because the gangster comes in, he's like, Jimmy, put on my song. And it's like, it's like, which major stereotype song would you like, sir? Like, basically,
But that's just
Go on.
basically it. The fact was that Marvel wasn't bringing home these great
No, there was
films.
Marvel
at
didn't
the
have any
time.
leg to stand on. They had given up these rights for pennies, basically, and this is just another one of. This is probably the saddest story because of just what the true nature of this. You realize from the documentary, though, is that this was pretty much. A lot of people at the top knew that this was just like it didn't matter what was going to come out in the end.
Right. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, sure, it's a bad film. I mean, we can all agree on that. But, for a fan of comic books,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and a fan of films, you really have no choice but to feel for these guys.
Well, that's a yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's heartbreaking knowing that they put this effort into this movie, and it was never meant to see the light of day, which I don't think Roger Corman knew from the beginning.
Well,
Probably not.
Well, I think the first clue should have been that the guy playing the Thing was wearing what was basically a used mattress.
Well, that's where a lot of the money went.
Well,
though.
I was going to say because the best looking in that thing is the Thing.
Yeah.
Like,
They put
because-
money into that.
because everything else is hokey as fuck
Oh,
and just so low budget and practical. Like Reed Richards stuff when you have to do stretchy arm stuff on a practical scale, and then in the end, it's basically like it's like a high school production.
Right.
kind of
Well,
thing.
well,
Like,
the
it all
thing
was
is-
very good for high school.
A year before that movie came out, Roger Corman produced a movie called Carnosaur. Now, Carnosaur was a low-budget dinosaur movie because Jurassic Park was coming out, and he rushed this fucking movie
sure,
out. And,
okay.
Oh yeah.
and actually, Gene Siskel gave that a thumbs up, and he's the harder one to please. You know what I mean? Because it's charming in the
Well,
fact that you're watching a low-budget, stupid
Right.
movie,
Yeah.
and that's where
It
Roger
knows what it-
Corman's charms are.
And it knows what it, because his movies know what they are.
You got to remember
Yeah.
too that at the time he had brain cancer.
This could factor in. This could factor in.
But they used the sets from that movie
For Fantastic
for
Four?
Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four.
They
Right.
repainted them and
Right.
and whatnot.
So
But
in this doc, though, so they get now a lot of the talking heads are people who just now are retrospectively reflecting on this whole production and like what was really going on, and they talk to the cast, and it's like, you kind of feel for them because everybody had high hopes. No one goes into it's
Yeah.
like the saying, no one goes into make a bad movie.
I mean, they
you know?
all knew what they were doing. They all
Sure.
knew what this was.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop them from being optimistic about it. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure,
and
sure.
I mean, Satan's name in this movie is Avi Arad. Or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Who is-
He's the big bad guy in this.
he's the big bad guy. He declined to be part of the doc,
Oh, gee.
as did Stan Lee.
Oh well,
And what I did not know was that Stan Lee was talking shit about it too.
Well, I'm sure to a certain point it'd probably be hard not to.
And in the documentary gets into the fact that Stan Lee visited the set.
Sure.
He was really optimistic to everybody's face. He brought the donuts one time. You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean,
look. Here's the thing. I think you got to watch his expression when he walks in, and then what he looks like when he's walking out.
Right.
Because he might be all Excelsior donuts and all that shit
Right.
in the first 20 minutes.
But
But by
And
the
then
end of the day,
He's like,
he
those
might be,
cocksuckers ate my donuts.
I swear to God, I aged 10 years on that set.
but
You
to
know what I mean?
maintain integrity, I just wouldn't have shown up if I felt that way. Do you know
Well,
what
I
I'm
don't-
saying?
But I think this is a thing where, like, you probably don't know what you're into, much like a lot of people in productions,
Right.
until you're on set, and it's like, oh, okay, it's like
one of those
this.
movies.
And Stan Lee will sell the shit out of anything because
Right.
he had me thinking that Captain America movie with Salinger was going to be fucking amazeballs because he was like, oh, it's amazing, the shields bouncing off the walls and everything, zing, zang, zoom, just like
It's
the comics.
Excelsior.
Excelsior. You know what I mean?
You know what the funny thing about that Captain America movie is that the
All of
first,
it? All
no,
of it.
The first 15 minutes
Yeah.
of that movie is actually not bad.
There's a, you know.
And they
It's been a long time.
No.
To give it a fair shake, you're recalling it probably better than I am.
No,
so to
it's
give it-
terrible. I'm not giving this a promoted review or
Fair,
anything like
okay.
that. What I'm saying is that there were certain things like when he's tied to the rocket and he's battling the Red Skull. It was actually, I mean, that was kind of cool, and it's funny because the Chris Evans one, they kind of borrow a little bit from the structure. If you look at it, it takes place in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And the doctor, and it kind of it's hinted toward it.
Well,
a
here's
little
the
bit.
thing that I'll give that movie. They tried to do a very faithful adaptation of his story with some updated changes. So
Right.
all in all, like, minus the Italian stuff in that,
Right.
Script-wise, it probably could have held up much better in somebody else's hand. A different
Oh,
budget,
absolutely.
different, different setup, but same script, some tweaks maybe. I don't think that's the issue there.
Believe me, it's
a lot of everything else, though.
And believe me, it is terrible.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
No,
you know
no.
what I mean? But the fact is that I do see the old
The
college
ears
try there.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And then it fizzles.
Yeah,
And then it becomes shit,
yeah.
stinking shit.
And you know what's funny is that, like, the difference between, like, this and Captain America and Fantastic Four of these two is that, like, yeah, you saw the college try in Captain America. And meanwhile, like there's college try in Corman's thing, but if there was college try at the studio level, it never would have been a Corman thing. Like, it would have been treated like this. So,
Right.
so what you come to learn, though, I mean, to kind of set this up and
Right.
pack it away.
Because I don't want to give it too much away either.
Okay, fair
There's
enough.
a lot of little things in there that I
Sure.
did not know,
Right.
which is probably why I enjoyed it.
Right.
I'm like, wait, oh, fuck. Oh,
Right.
man. And it's heartbreaking. But it's really cool to hear the actors and what they were told and what they expected.
And then what
you know
the
what
reality
I mean?
was.
I'm not gonna take away. I think people
Sure.
should go see this. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Check it out. It's definitely a really good doc.
Nice.
But
No,
of the
I'm
three Marvel
hungry for
movies
it.
of that time, I think The Punisher was the better one.
It's tough. You know, it's tough. It's like trying to pick like who's the best kid out of my mentally challenged children. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
They all have got
at
some
least
kind of analogy like that.
The Punisher followed the action movie structure, and I think
It
that's
followed
the
the
only
action movie
thing.
structure. You know, he buried himself into kind of like getting into the headspace of Frank, even though to most people he probably would just look like he's all drugged out or something. His eyes are so fucking closed and almost rolling up into
Yeah.
his skull. But look, it's got the best cast out of any of these movies we're talking about. Whether or not it worked or not, it's got Louis Gossett Jr. and Dolph Lundgren and probably a couple other people, maybe, or one person, two, maybe, who look familiar. But
I'm sure you'll find if you watch it now, you'll be like, "Oh, that guy's in it."
but
Yeah,
but
You
it
know what I
really
mean?
showed.
someone who's actually probably doing something pretty good these days.
Right. Like I feel like either the mob boss or one
Yeah,
of the
the
other
Russian
cops.
guy was an actor. He was the guy that betrayed Harrison Ford in The Fugitive.
Okay.
You've seen him like
everywhere. One
yeah.
of these guys.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and even the girl too. I kind of feel that bum. Actually, that's his friend.
The British guy.
Yeah, and like that talks in rhymes.
is on Pier 30.
Yeah. Just give me a drink. Why don't you just? And meanwhile, it's like I got this remote control truck. I want to try and like, what are we doing?
It's the
here?
most watchable.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're gonna have some serious laughs at that one too. I think
Right.
it shows itself how bad it is really when they try to do cool stuff.
Right.
Like with that, like when they kind of do the zoom in on the flying ninja stars
Yeah,
balls,
yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
literally someone had it on a string, and we're just following it across with a hand cam.
Right.
Like, it didn't work. I'm just sorry. You should
Well,
just cut it out. Like, just
But
cut
this
that
was
part.
Marvel in the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
not known for their great productions.
No.
But this one they really were optimistic about, and it was taken from them, and it
Yeah.
was really they were betrayed
Yeah.
by Avi Arad.
I'll tell you one thing. There was, in that, right? In the Doctor Doom, and
Yeah.
in Doomed. Yeah, Avi's the one you gotta keep your eye on. Turns out, like, Avi's been pretty much a big dick for a long time.
But what surprises me is that we didn't get the next Fantastic Four film till 11 years after the fact.
That's par for the course in a way, though.
So
Like,
what was he really thinking? How was he going to get this done? Because
That's like, you know what that is? That's the studio making that kind of a crazy thing, and him latching onto it and saying, okay, if, and that's early in his stage of career with that stuff. Like, I don't know what he was doing.
93,
I don't
94.
know what he might have been doing right before that, but that's him just being like, all right, let's just close the deal. Fuck it. And in the end, like, probably just being like, okay, I'll be the bad guy or whatever, or I can be that jerk. You know what I mean? But it was really probably just him kowtowing to just getting good with studio heads. Like, okay, you guys want me to, like, let's just be real. No one's around. You want me just to fuck this whole job so we
Yeah,
can maintain the
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. Let's do that. We'll bang it out 2-3 months.
But it makes you want to watch this Fantastic Four movie.
So I tell you what, I really want to watch this doc now, though.
Yeah, definitely. Watch it. It's free on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
On the old Amazon Prime.
So
like free.
that's definitely a stashable documentary.
It's stashable. It's highly stashable.
Stash.
All right.
So 2 stashes this week for me.
2 stashes. You should do a stash video. And take a tour of your fucking stash.
Well, there's trash stashed.
Too. I gotta separate my stashes.
Well, it's like I told Chad, my, ambitions was to be a film enthusiast and historian.
The enthusiast, I think you got down.
But the historian, you actually have to go take a class for.
Oh, sure.
You
Some
know what I
sort
mean?
of certification from somewhere, right?
But I actually thought that these guys all had these massive movie collections.
Right,
And
but
I
they
can
don't.
easily step into that realm.
Sure.
Say, look what I got.
Right,
all right,
right,
let's
right,
talk.
right. Yeah.
Let's get historical in this motherfucker.
You think you're fucking Criterion, motherfucker?
Nosferatu. What did you think?
I thought the film stock was a little grainy. Could have used a little more light.
The audio was a little low.
The audio, I don't know, men's and men's.
Side note, Lundgren and Gossett Jr. did another movie together, like right after The Punisher. It was called Cover Up, I think.
Okay, I think I saw that.
So I think that they had a really good time. They
Yeah.
thought that the chemistry was good enough for them to do another action.
I'm
movie.
sure somebody was like, yeah. Someone must have seen something in that.
Well, Dolph Lundgren's done like 900 films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But only 7 were theatrical.
And only the last couple actually were fully English.
Yeah. And, right. 7 are theatrical and only like 8 overall watchable. Because The Punisher never made it to theaters.
No,
so.
it didn't.
Right,
but I
so-
saw a trailer in the theater for it.
Yeah.
It was New World. It was New World Pictures. I want to say it was Hellraiser.
I remember when Marvel Age magazine had that, like, it was like the first like picture of him on the motorcycle, and I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be so fucking awesome.
Where's the skull?
It was on his knife. It was on his knife.
Yeah, it was on his knife, not on his shirt.
Not on his shirt.
No.
But at least it was
Rights
they
issues.
Did, they did the old. Like, he leaves knives at every one of the crime scenes. I got all these knives with skulls on the hilt of them. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay.
Well, another thing that they get into the documentaries is rights issues. Like, they wanted to use the Mole Man.
Yeah, right.
And they
sure.
couldn't use the Mole Man, so they made
Okay.
him that little jewel guy. I don't know if you've ever seen the film.
I know that there's like some weird. Then that's what that's about. Is because they
Right.
tweaked his,
Like, the only thing they can use was Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom. It went hand in hand. You could use that.
Right.
But you couldn't use the Mole Man.
So you couldn't use any of these other Fantastic Four characters. It was
No.
it was that limited.
yeah.
Well, what they use? What's his name? The hip hop jeweler.
Jared the jeweler. This predates that guy. This predates that guy. All right. Well, let's do some email. Even though Dom's not here, here's Dom. Emails. Oh yeah. All right. Let's see what we got here. We got one from Agent Palmer.
Hey.
How
How you doing, Jason? That's my name.
That's you talking to yourself. I got you. Which superhero would make the worst roommate? And I would say probably, of the big names, I'd say probably Wolverine. Like, early days Wolverine. Like, now he's kind of got his shit together, but like, fresh out of the woods, just had the procedure, and I'm not sure. I don't got my stuff together. Like, first appearance, kind of era.
Like, he punch you in the face just for
Yeah,
not cleaning up after your shit.
Right. But that's the thing. I think he'd probably be a little bit of a hypocrite. Like, he'd have a
I don't
fucking
know.
mess, and he'd be like, it's a fucking pigsty. And I'm like, where are you even from with that accent? Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
You know?
I'm actually thinking Plastic Man might be too much of a prankster to be.
Just too happy.
Too happy. You'd be like, wiping your feet on the mat as you walk in the door, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And it's like, what,
Yeah.
Plaz, please. What are you? Come on. You're always pretending to be something, but the costume
Yeah.
gives it away. It's a red coffee mug with a yellow
Go
and
to
black
take
stripes.
a shower, you go wipe yourself, and then before you're wiping yourself with Plastic Man. No, that's a problem.
And that's a problem because he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
he
really.
knows. Because he's putting himself in your way. You know what I mean? Maybe he's like stalking a little bit.
That's his, and that's personal space.
You're like, why is my blanket already hot? Like, and it's like, oh, it's Plaz. It's
Why does my towel have a heart on?
and why is it so long? It doesn't have. There's a certain point of diminishing returns. It doesn't have to be that long.
Although, what about Ragman? He'd be leaving his rags
He'd
everywhere.
be leaving his rags everywhere. He's like homeless, right? He probably smells.
Yeah, really.
I mean, he needs a place to stay. I get it. Maybe Cyclops too, because I get the feeling like waking up in the middle of the night, he doesn't have his glasses on.
Oh, dude, if he has a heart, if he wakes up from a nightmare or something,
Yeah, he's gonna burn the
that's a
house
di-
down.
Your house is
that's-
split into. I'm thinking the same thing about Ghost Rider. Living to him might be a clusterfuck.
Really.
You know what I mean?
so.
And a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, you start dreaming about hell when you're sleeping, Johnny, and that's it. Next thing you know, you burst into flames. The whole house goes down.
He parks the bike, fucking sets the garage on fire. Like,
But us metalheads might get a kick out of it. Too.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Badass is badass. Like when he's home, you don't have to worry. Like he's got the house. He's no one's gonna rape you, fuck you up.
Hey,
in your
imagine me
sleep,
and
rob
Bob
you.
living with Ghost Rider. We'd probably be in the kitchen going, cool.
I think you'd be a pretty badass bass player.
But who are you living with? You living with the Johnny Blaze?
I'm living with Johnny Blaze, yeah.
Nick Cage, Johnny
Nick-
Blaze.
Nick Cage, Johnny Blaze. Has to be.
We'd
I'll
have-
be out in
we'd-
the parking lot.
I don't
I'm
piss
gonna
on
do
that
some
movie.
Practice in the parking lot.
You know what? I don't piss on that movie. I like the first.
It's all right.
Ghost
If
Rider.
if you and I lived with Ghost Rider, we'd have to have Death Tone as our our theme as we walk down the street.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't piss on the first Ghost Rider. I like that movie.
And
I think it's cool.
Hulk would probably be annoying too. He's too big for that room.
If he
you
takes
know.
a dump, man. Oh.
Well, first of
he-
all,
he
he's gonna
gets
break the
angry.
toilet.
Yeah, Banner has a nightmare, gets
Yeah.
angry.
Sure.
That's it. Next thing you know, he's ripping down the house.
There's another one with the night terrors. You got to worry about the night terrors with these freaks. Wolverine might wake up in the middle of the night just hacking and slashing.
Really. What if he starts sleepwalking? He starts like snicked starts pounding the walls.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it was cool in the Fantastic Four doc. Mark Ruffalo, you just mentioned, did audition for I think for Mr. Fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Wow. He would have been so young then.
Yeah, but he was a struggling actor
And
at
he's
the time.
probably so happy now he didn't get that one.
That might have bombed my whole career.
Somebody else too. There's a few.
There's a couple of names.
Yeah, a couple of names that they passed on.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Just one more reason to watch, folks. All right. So thank you to Agent Palmer for the question. And then also we got one from Wesley.
Wesley.
He's got a couple.
Oh, good.
Is there a movie that scared you when you were young? That's question number one. Yeah. I mean, basically, you know what used to get me more than like anything, like in horror movies, was just whatever the music fucking was. Like the like when I was little, from Friday the 13th. Like that would just creep me the fuck out. Even my brother's doing it around the house to like get the goat out of me, like, you know, just to fuck with me. Like every time, like it would just chill me to the bone. And like until probably like in my teens, still I couldn't shake how creeped out I would get when I would hear the Michael Myers music.
Right.
The piano that Carpenter wrote for that. Oh my God, that used to fucking chill me right to the bones. But that's like, you know. I don't know. I think that's like it. But Michael Myers would scare me more than
Jason,
because Jason got like cartoonish real quick, whereas Michael Myers was like, you know,
he's the boogeyman.
He's the boogeyman, and I am just stalking one person kind of thing. Like it wasn't like, oh, let's kill somebody else, kill somebody else, kill somebody else. It was just like, you are just waiting for Michael to fucking attack the whole movie because it's all built on tension, as opposed to, you know, Friday the 13th is more built on fucking.
Well, Halloween
jump
did scare the
scares
shit out of
and,
people.
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
The first Halloween did scare the hell out of people.
Oh,
it was
it's
like
just
the
fun.
first. It's the quintessential slasher film.
Right.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
Jamie Lee. She was the scream queen back then. You know, prom night and. But you know, The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist at a young age. I saw it when I was like 5.
Yeah, that fucked up some people, man.
And I remember just being it was just really fucking scary at the time. And then it wound up being one of my favorite films. I love watching
Nightmares.
The
Nightmares
Exorcist.
or anything from that?
Not really. Just like, you know, when you're laying down in bed and then wonder if it's gonna shake. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be somebody under there shaking your bed. It's the powers that be that's going to shake your bed.
Right.
I had to go diving under the table for my lighter.
Like, you know, some demon will just jump into your soul at any one time.
Yeah,
to know that at 5 years old, that's scarier than any fucking slasher.
That's
outside.
real. That can happen.
You know what I mean? Well, they still claim it's real.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, well, you know, it's religious stuff. Yeah, maybe, kind of, I think. True story.
If it gets you to believe in God, then yeah.
Right, exactly.
There was also some grindhouse shit. Like, I remember there was a movie called Tourist Trap.
Okay.
And it was with Chuck Connors, who used to play the rifleman on TV.
Well, Chuck Connors alone.
Chuck Connors
as a kid.
But it was like, you know, it was a teenage, you know, romp. But the thing was, there was a lot of like supernatural shit going on.
Okay.
Mannequins shaking and things like really weird
Just
noises.
creepy shit.
And that, you know, seeing that as a kid right out of the gate,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what the you know what I mean? But I quickly got over it.
Sure.
Like at 6, 7, I was like, all right. So, you know, my mother wants to know why I'm like I am the way I am.
Yeah.
It's because, you know, you're the
it's
one
her
who
fault.
took me to see fucking Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Jaws 2 and fucking.
Yeah, that's what we do with our mom, too. You know?
You know what I
We're
mean?
like, well, the
I
only
started
reason,
reading Stephen King when I was 8.
Yeah. Right. Real, me too. So it's like, you know,
It's like, here, I think this is good for you.
yeah. You'll like this. You'll like this.
Well, most of the books I've read were Stephen King books.
Yeah, me too. Well, we were
I
saying
mean, that is
not
why
long
at the age of 10 I had a reading level that was beyond college, and they
Yeah.
actually had me redo the whole state test.
Yeah.
Because they were like, no, you had to have gotten, like, answers somewhere.
ago. We did the same thing to me.
From 4 Past Midnight by Stephen King. That's
Yeah,
where the
really.
answers came
Well, the
from.
only thing that like really kind of the only thing that got me through elementary school was having that high reading level. You know what I mean? From just reading so much, because back then, like, it wasn't really like, it was like, okay, you can read and you can read really good, just automatic push through. Just automatic push through.
absolutely.
You can't do math, like, you know what I mean? It's like, nah, fucking, what are numbers? Like, we have, you know? Like,
No, you got good reading,
that was it back then. Like I mean, obviously it would catch up to you at a certain point. Like
See,
you
I
know
was
what I mean?
good at
If you weren't having like if you weren't good, but whatever. Back
See,
then,
I was
they
good
didn't
at
give a
math.
shit.
I was real good at math.
Right. Well, good for you. What the fuck?
So anyway, for me,
Yes, horror movie that scared you when you were young.
it wasn't so much
Well, just a
horror.
movie. Well, just a movie.
Yeah, it really wasn't horror or really a movie so much for me. When I was real little,
Sure.
Star Trek was on all the time.
Okay.
And there's a couple of episodes of the original Star Trek
Sure,
series
I could see.
that there's like these aliens that are actually pretty scary looking.
Right.
Right? They just show up on the view screen
Right.
in the show, more or less.
Mhm.
But there was two of them. One was a gray one, and one was a green one.
Okay.
And those two, whenever I saw them on TV,
Right.
would scare the crap out of me for days.
If Ed was here, he'd already be quizzing. He'd be dropping alien races like right now.
He'd be like, "Oh, the guy from this one with
Yeah.
with the little guy who ends up drinking the Tranya, and
The calamari or
one that's like, this- 'cause one of them
Bendorzy?
ends up being like basically a puppet, an
Gotcha.
on-screen puppet for a midget, so that it looks like he's like a big scary badass, right?
Funny.
But even knowing that and seeing that episode
doesn't matter.
27 freaking million
It
times,
doesn't even matter as a kid. That shit
Right.
just sticks. It's like for a long time, Eddie from Iron Maiden, the zombie-looking mascot.
Sure. That must have been torture for you because me and Dave were all over that.
But bro, I would sit there for hours and stare. Those album
Mm-hmm.
covers were like the first artwork I was ever like obsessed with staring at
Well, that's
and
some
trying to
really
figure
awesome
out.
artwork.
It's amazing artwork.
Absolutely.
But same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
Eddie was under my bed. Like if anybody was ever
Right.
under my bed, like I would be as a kid,
Right,
have
Eddie
that
was your
thought.
boogeyman.
Eddie was my boogeyman under the bed. I'd be like, don't fucking think that. He's not really there. But it's like I'd have that fight because
Right.
it's like when you're old enough and smart enough to know that it's all bullshit. It's in your head. And so you're having the mental fight as a little kid, like, yeah, but just your brain, stop, go to fucking sleep. And it's like, but what? No, but not what if? You know he's not
Right.
there.
Right. Instead of
And
knowing,
then mustering up the balls to look.
right. Well, it's
being
not,
like,
it's not just that you're
"Oh."
mustering the balls to look. It's
Right.
It's that. It's the balls, and then there's also the flip side of that is you know you're an idiot for looking in the first place.
Oh, yeah. And then once you
You
do
know?
it, it's like, fucking jerk. But then when you get up and turn around, he's there.
right.
And
So
that's when you
so for me, it was that kind of thing.
Okay.
Because like Michael Myers
Mm-hmm.
bored me.
Sure, I can see that.
I
though.
mean, Jason didn't bore me so much, but
Right.
I was only into Jason for the first 4 movies.
Fair enough. Yeah, after that.
At that point, he was supposed to be dead, and I was like, okay,
Wow.
this is cool. I'm jumping off here.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
more or less. I was like 17 by the time it was done. So
Well, it starts
I
to
was-
shift. It becomes more and more, like, just ridiculous as it tries to make it.
Well, Jason X is
logical.
worth a watch.
Oh yeah, well, I have ultimately seen all of them.
Right,
It's
right,
just,
right.
You know,
There's a
for
certain amount
while,
of like putting any faith into it being good kind of went out the
5
window.
sucked,
You know?
6 was a disaster.
Right.
7 was, 8 was okay because it was just like, all right, let's just have fun with Jason in Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like let him like just lop the heads off and have them fly off the rooftops for 2 hours.
Well, that's why I said Jason X is fun because it's
Yeah.
in space and
Right.
it's supposed
It's the same
to be.
thing with Manhattan.
And it's
Yeah.
actually a fun. It's actually a fun
Sure.
movie,
Right.
actually. But they're not trying to make a sequel to a film.
Yeah.
They're doing its own
doing a thing where it's like,
Yeah.
obviously, come on, it's Jason in space.
because they
You know?
took it away from Paramount, and when New Line got ahead of it,
Okay.
they did their own thing. Like there was
Right.
one where Jason would possess you,
Okay.
so he kept jumping from body to body.
Right.
Like that's not. It wasn't really Jason through the whole movie. It was like you're Jason. He can be Jason. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So they were
right.
doing different things with it.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
they're trying
yeah.
to work on the franchise and like keep it fresh.
Fine. Yeah.
Like when it went to New Line, they started doing different things. We even got the Freddy versus Jason movie
because
through
of
New
that.
Line.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
but-
was entertaining.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a decent stab at that.
Right, and that's ultimately what those characters became. So, that stuff didn't really bother me.
Right.
You know? But I was also a little bit older, an older teenager
Right.
with that stuff, so I was fully aware and in control of myself in the movie theater. I had my girl with me. I'm not freaking out.
Right.
You
Sure.
know what
No,
I mean?
yeah.
Let her hug me, hold me, and let me be her hero in the movie theater for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
And then Bob gets scared. And
Well,
that's it.
I like that stuff though.
No,
I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't bother me. Like if it's
No.
on, like if they're on, I watch. I
Yeah.
watch them. I
Yeah.
have them in the.
The way we process that shit
Yeah,
now
well, I'm
was
sure you
different
have
than
them.
when we were a
So
kid.
you have them on DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, possibly even Betamax.
Some kind of
'cause you
import.
you do have a Betamax player.
I do.
I got the Mexican redub.
The Laserdisc you definitely have because you belong to groups on
The
Facebook.
Laserdisc group, yeah. I go back and forth with those guys.
Well, we got a very interesting question next from Wesley.
Sure.
Right in our wheelhouse. We were just talking about which Stephen King books do you think are the best to start with in his collection for someone just starting it?
Go ahead, Bob. Take it.
You got to go back to the beginning, but don't go too far because you really can't now because times are very different now. So you couldn't go back to Carrie.
I think you could.
I think you could go back to Christine.
I think all of them now, because they're so dated to when he wrote them, they just feel like
Right.
you're going, like you're taking a jump back.
Well,
you know?
see, for me, Christine is a '50s movie.
Yeah, it's
It's
got.
kind of, it's got,
yeah.
it's got a. I mean, it doesn't actually take place in the movies.
Right.
It takes place in the '80s. But
But
it's
the
got
movies,
a very,
the movie tries to make you feel like
Yeah.
maybe it is the.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
what's his name? The kid in it, he actually has like a bomber jacket, brown bomber.
It's a lot of these little
Yeah.
small
It's
touches.
a hint of,
Yeah. So it's definitely got a '50s feel.
Yeah, that town is echoing it, like
yeah.
still, right?
So and it is.
But as far as
it
the
is
book goes,
it's a-
I'd say, well, what's fun about the book of Carrie is that none of it's not written as a first in a normal style, where
Right,
it's all articles and news clips after the fact, and all these reports and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like an assemblage of news bits and interviews, where it's like, oh, if you ever read World War Z, it's very much like that,
Right.
You know,
but
in a
it's-
sense.
But it's also a very much an early '70s story.
Oh yeah. Oh
so,
yeah.
So that I don't think is a good one to start with. I think one, if you don't want a horror story, but you're willing to commit, go with The Stand.
Yeah. It's a
You know what I
fair
mean?
place.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Just right.
It's about a positive thing. It's emotionally speaking anyway. These people,
Sure.
it's about very simply. It's about good and evil. God and the devil, basically. It's,
Right.
It's
And the
that's-
apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how it all plays out is actually really, really cool and very smartly done. And then all the mystical stuff happens in the middle and towards the end.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where what's great about The Stand is that it's long, but that allows him to do great things like that. Just kind of like come back around. That you didn't think were going to come back around later on, like little connections and people run into each other, and it's like, oh, that's a great turn of the story. Oh, that's some
really small characters who interact during this quest in one fashion, who end up being on different sides later.
That's a great thing too, right?
know what I
Sure,
mean?
that's another point.
So there's all sorts of little things. It's like, oh wait, now she's come back and she's the twist because
Yeah.
you don't need someone you haven't thought about for 500 pages.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Someone that you probably
someone
even maybe-
who basically walked out of the story as far as you knew.
Right.
But now they're on
Yep.
the other side of things for whatever reason.
Yeah, sides change, kind of like there's good twists in that. I'd say if you're looking for like, you know what you could do? You could probably start with any of his short story collections too.
I was just thinking of The Long Walk.
Yeah, the Bachman books. That's where you'll find a
Bachman
long
books,
walk. The
yeah.
Bachman books out by themselves are great because
Yeah.
it's just I think
Thinner.
four or five short stories.
Thinner
and,
is great, yeah.
and they all kind of exist in this outside pocket sometimes where it's not like a
Right.
horror story, but it's just like this odd other kind of thing. It's not
Right.
quite like a sci-fi or this, that, the
There's
other.
definitely
It's just
mystical qualities.
it would be stories that just kind of didn't fit in his normal
Right.
mold. So like you would
Right,
do that.
Thinner with the gypsies.
Right, Thinner with the Gypsies. Long Walk is actually just a physical competition. The Running Man is in that book.
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. If you have and if your only experience with the Running Man is the movie,
Yeah,
then definitely read the book because the book is tody different.
yeah. The
Right.
book is.
You know?
No, I
mean,
like the movie.
Yeah, I
I
mean
mean, the movie's fun, but it's like
the
game
movie's
show.
fun. Yeah, it goes. Yeah, they game show it up. It gets a little more flashy than it is in the book. And plus, in the book, you don't linger on the game show as much.
Well,
like you're following him a
This
little
is
bit
like
more
a
condensed.
post-apocalyptic world, more
In
or
that
less.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Thinner was a
Yeah.
really good book. Misery
Yeah.
is a really good book.
That,
Sure.
that creeps you out because the guy's just wasting away.
Right.
And you start like feeling like you're that guy,
Right.
you know, and so it just really gets you.
Because I had read that book, and when I saw that movie, I was disappointed in it because it just didn't fare up because they did it on a lower budget. And
They're a lower budget, but I feel like that's a movie where it's like, see, because that's the thing with some of Stephen's shorter works
So redo that one then.
is they should is just that, like, you know, he gets like a hook or an idea for these things. It's like a what happens if kind of a thing. And he's, you know,
Right.
I've read a
And he
lot of
plays it
stuff,
out.
you know, and he follows it through. This is a thing that happens to him all the time, like, you know, but so he knows that, like, it can only be a short story. Like, so, you know, some story ideas present themselves to you where it's like that. This isn't a thing that's going to run long. It doesn't feel like that. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, when you sometimes have to kind of then, like, rework into a story that works for a movie, not everybody can hit the right tone
But
on that.
Thinner has a really good story arc in that, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah,
then
yeah.
it becomes something else, and then it goes deeper into the gypsy stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I thought, like
Yeah.
when I was reading that novel at the time. Now
Sure.
this is the early '90s.
Right.
Immediately, I was thinking Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer, because
Well,
he
yeah.
can. Because I thought that he could actually put the weight on and
Right,
take it
and
off.
take it off.
Right.
Like he would
Sure.
be like
Right.
the perfect guy
Do
to
like
do
a
that.
long, slow production time so he can burn off weight.
Right.
You know,
You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, this would be
They
great.
should have just got like a big actor and just been like, dude,
John
this
Goodman.
John Candy back then. You know,
Right.
somebody like that.
Against type. I like that.
Against type, but also too, John Candy would probably have played that type of guy
Better.
to a
Perfect.
T.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because he
To a
was
T.
kind of funny.
He
He,
would've
had
made
a
him
lot
very
of funny things to
sympathetic.
say.
Yeah, and also too, it's like a secondary thing, and it'll force you to lose the weight, buddy. You come out the other end, you know, start running on the
Throw you a couple
treadmill.
more. We'll throw you a couple more mil,
I mean,
man.
come on, you know,
Really?
to actually have you lose some of that weight for this movie.
Really?
But then when we saw the movie, they got like some second-rate actors,
Right,
and
right,
it was done on a lower budget.
Yeah,
Right.
we almost
Like
got
it.
Right.
yeah,
Like it, basically.
But well, like I said, it started great. I think the first half of it
yeah.
is really good.
That's
It loses
undeniable.
it.
That's basically because when you're watching the first part of it, you're watching kids actors, and kid actors come and go all the time, so we don't expect anything
Yeah.
special out of them. But then when you look at the adults in the second part, and it's like, okay, it's
It's
The
a
movie-
line,
the
it's-
movie of the
it's,
week.
It's the
The
guy.
lineup, yeah.
it's the lineup of the actors. I mean, Tim Reed. Okay, Tim Reed had he hadn't heard a lot from Tim Reed when he got that role.
It's the Ocean's 5 of TV.
Yeah.
It's like, it's John Ritter, it's
Right.
Harry Anderson, you know what I mean?
Richard Thomas,
Richard Thomas. Who was the gal? Oh, man. I
Annette
don't-
O'Toole.
See what I'm
48
saying?
hours.
See what I'm saying?
Lana Lang from Superman 3.
There you go.
Right.
You know,
But Salem's Lot is a good book.
Salem's Lot is real good. So, but like as starter stuff, you know what's great? Why I say
the Bachman books.
why I say short stories in general though is because you get in and out real quick, and that's where you can have a lot more fun, I think, because he'll deal with more crazy stuff.
Different Seasons is one of my
Yeah.
favorite.
Different Seasons is great.
Is
The
phenomenal.
Mist, which is now a TV series.
And if you want to read something completely different, The Eyes of the Dragon, which is a book he wrote
Right.
for his kids, really, because he didn't have anything that he felt he could let them read of his.
Yeah, that was kind of like
It's
a
a-
poor man's Hobbit kind of.
Yeah, it's about a couple of princes and like the shenanigans that go on with once the king dies and like who's gonna be the king and the fucked up wizard and shenanigans he pulls, and it's a really great story with some good twists in it.
The Mist was
Yeah,
in Skeleton
The
Crew
hair,
I think so, yeah.
or
Yes.
Night Shift, one of those.
right? When he uses the hair.
Well,
Remember,
it's not hair, but I wouldn't want to give it away.
Right?
Yeah, it's not hair, but
It's been a long time since I read it.
but you're remembering in the right
Yeah.
path. You're in the
The
right path.
where he's weaving something. From.
Shit, did I just say I didn't want to give it away?
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not just saying that.
That's
to
giving
ask
it
you.
away.
Huh?
I also
That's
believe,
giving it away.
but I also believe
The whole book, you don't know how he's going to get out.
Yeah.
But I also believe I classify the screenplay of Creepshow because that was something he wrote for the screen.
Okay.
So it's original.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
and they are really really good stories, I think. And
Storm of the Century wasn't that bad.
I never read that.
No, I mean, it only came out as a telescript. You know what I mean? It was only.
Oh, it was a movie. Yeah, I
It
didn't
was a
see
movie
that.
in a big week, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, eventually, with some of his stuff, like when you find out what the deal is, like what's going on, it's like okay, either like that holds up for you or not.
Right.
But the whole just give me what I want and I'll go away. It was like that dude, like
It wasn't-
I forget who was playing him, but it was like a 2-part thing. Tim Daly, I think, was like the main guy, and it was creepy enough for me at the time. I wasn't like young or anything, but I was like, all right, I'm digging this. But he just,
Another underrated one I liked.
The Mangler.
The Mangler, yeah.
yeah, which became the movie called Graveyard
Yeah.
Shift, right?
No, Graveyard Shift was always a story out of Skeleton Crew. No,
Okay.
sorry, Night Shift.
Night
The
Shift.
Graveyard Shift they came on a Night Shift, but that movie's kind of like the story, and they even go further because it was a real short story. That's about the rats.
What, the Mangler?
No, the Graveyard Shift.
Well, I'm talking about the Mangler. Didn't they make a movie about?
Yes,
the
with
fucking-
Robert Englund.
Yeah.
Was in
Yeah,
it.
with the machine.
Yes.
And was that called the Mangler?
Yeah, I think
think
in
it
the
was. I think
yeah,
it was.
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
in the
fair-
book.
all right, fair
No,
enough.
Graveyard Shift was the rats.
Okay.
And that's in Night Shift, I think.
All right.
But that was cool. Pet Cemetery is a great book too.
Yeah. You know,
and if you want to really see something weird or read something weird, first watch the movie The Lawnmower Man.
and they'll go read.
Then go read the book,
Right. Then go read
short story.
The short story.
because
That's another one where it's like
that's like, wow, where the fuck did he get that from?
that's like a name only kind of a
Oh
thing.
my god,
Yeah,
this,
he
that's
took his
something
name
you don't
off.
want to give away.
And that's a great short story. And that's
it,
a
it
good,
really is because it's so wild and the ending
different.
is so insane.
It's different. It's so different than his other shit too.
I actually have
his
a
short
list-
story stuff. Oh,
I actually have a Laserdisc that still has Stephen King's name on the Lawnmower Man before he took it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually, Shawshank Redemption is a really great short story too.
That's different seasons.
That's in
Yeah.
different seasons, right?
Yeah.
So
So is Apt Pupil and
Yeah.
Stand by the Body.
yeah.
There's one other one. I keep forgetting what it is.
Right,
That's
yeah, the
four
body
of them.
is the movie The Stand, basically.
Stand by Me.
And that's
Stand By
actually
Me.
Stand By Me, and that's actually fairly accurate
Yeah,
overall.
I think
mean,
it follows it.
yeah, it follows it well enough, and making it a kids' buddy movie. You know what I mean?
But three examples.
Coming of age story.
But three examples of movies that fare well on the screen from the book and even went above and beyond the book because they were all extended.
yeah.
But that's great writers involved. Darabont and William
Yeah.
Goldman. And I think Brian Singer, the guy that wrote Usual Suspects.
Well, it was,
Brian Singer.
Christopher McQuarrie.
right.
I think he
Brian
adapted
Singer
Apt
directed that
Pupil.
Right. But that's a Brian Singer movie, though.
Yeah.
Brian
Yeah.
Singer directed
And
it.
it's a really good movie.
No, it really is good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like,
I think that movie is what got him Superman.
you know, there's a couple of things they did change a couple of things. Not to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't still seen that movie, but there's a couple of things that changed. I was kind of like, I knew you weren't going to do it. It was like
I'm trying to think about what what it is.
If you remember later, I'll tell you. All right, so Wesley's got a couple more here, real quick. If you had to choose either Star Wars or Star Trek to never have existed, which would you choose? I wish Ed was here. We know which way he would probably go,
Yeah.
but which is probably more interesting for us because where probably our answers may not be as obvious. But
Well,
let's go around.
Well, I think
To have never existed.
to have never existed, I think it would be okay if Star Wars had never existed. Because if Star Trek had never existed, we probably wouldn't have Star Wars.
Kind of saw. I saw where you were going with that. I saw where you were going with that.
But
That's
as
a fair
long as we
point.
have Star Trek, we'll always have sci-fi.
Sure,
Space-
we'll have all the sci-fi
space
that
faring
influence.
sci-fi.
Right.
That genre of sci-fi.
Sure,
So I think that's the way you got to go on that.
that's not a bad point. It's not a bad point.
Well, you know which way I'm going to lead.
Yeah.
However,
Now, if we could dissect just a moment and take George Lucas out of the Star Wars side of the equation,
Wow.
and maybe insert somebody else, like
Yeah.
someone like a Spielberg or Ron
Like if the
Howard
studio had taken
or-
it away from him, like
Right.
early on,
then,
and like
then maybe it would be a tougher decision just because the movies might just be that much better.
who's to say?
I mean,
no, the original trilogy is beloved, and that's him.
Yeah.
That's basically
No,
all him.
yeah, fair enough.
So I mean, I also am a big Star Trek fan too.
Right, but
not
you're
as big as I am a Star Wars, guy.
fan,
Yeah.
right? Sure.
But I was watching Star Trek. I do remember very very small, but I remember a world without Star Wars. You know what I mean?
yeah.
A world without Star Wars.
But I was a real little kid.
starring Jason Chicalese.
But,
it's a horror tale.
That came to me at the right time.
All right.
And I think that I can't imagine. I mean, that's why I got in the movies.
So if you had to, you would throw out Star Trek then.
If I had to, yeah. Well, that's because I'm just a Star Wars fan. I kind of agree
that's the point of the
with.
kind of a question. Like
I kind of agree with Bob in
at
his
that
way
point,
of thinking.
No, yeah. We would probably lose a lot of things, not just Star Wars, though. I mean, a lot of,
Babylon 5.
and then it's all cross influence too, because then Star Wars influences all these other things, and it's like
And has been influenced by a lot of other
wouldn't have
things
gotten-
other than Star Trek.
if you didn't get Star Wars, you wouldn't have gotten Battlestar Galactica, all these Granted, a lot of them didn't last. You know what I mean? These other kind of sci-fi shows that popped up in the '70s. Well, Firefly would be another one probably you wouldn't get. I'm sure some Joss Whedon fans crying that I said that. I'm sorry. So sorry.
Serenity was good.
Yeah, if the first sci-fi spacefaring show doesn't exist, then the genre generally doesn't exist.
There you go. You know
I
what
thought
mean?
the movie was good. Serenity.
I mean, you might get some of it because like certain things even predate Star Trek a little bit, but that's like Lost in Space and some other things that are like different
but
animals.
Then again, if they're influenced by older things like say Flash Gordon, then or Buck Rogers, the original Buck Rogers. Maybe we still get a very campy sci-fi thing. We don't get serious sci-fi.
You might get some other versions, but similar.
So you might get something that's similar but different. You know, and so
Star Wars, but it's like literally Star Wars.
Well, I think Star Wars, borrows mostly from Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers more than it does from Star Trek.
Absolutely.
I think that even like samurai movies and westerns, it's all there. It's all myth. It's all the
Well, that's the thing too. Is like
Darth Vader's outfit is basically a samurai outfit.
Yeah, and little samurai, little Nazi regalia. It's all good shit. So that's it from Wesley. He wants to close, and he's gonna say roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Run for it, Marty.
Marty, it's your kids, Marty. They're all hopped up on the Smirk.
I hit ludicrous speed.
It started with some pills and then escalated.
It's an alternate universe. Alternate to me, you, and Einstein.
This is what happens if you lived on Staten Island.
Just don't have kids, Marty. See you later. There you go. No other movie. Didn't need it. Marty, get a vasectomy, Marty, now.
If only they'd said that at the end of the first movie, it would have been no way out for the second.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, geez, Doc, I'm going to get a vasectomy right now.
Yeah, Will Smith wouldn't have had anything to rip off for that cowboy movie.
Doc, you don't just walk into a store and buy plutonium. Did you rip that off?
Doc, I can't do it.
Did you rip that off?
You know who does a killer fucking Michael J. Fox? Is actually fucking, what's
David
his name?
Spade.
David Spade, you're right. David Spade, that's true. And I was going to say Seth MacFarlane, which, he doesn't do enough. But, like, I've seen him do it, and I was like, I saw him do it once, and then I heard him doing it on the show. And the time that I saw him do it on some other show, it was like fucking creepy perfect, and then on the show it was like not as good for some reason. Like on his show, I was like, I guess that day you just blurted it out just right.
David Spade was phenomenal. Yeah, he did it like on the money. I've been trying to work on it because I used to do like impressions, but it's hard.
Certain some of them, man, forget it. It's like you got to hear somebody else do it first sometimes.
Yeah,
to be able to key it in.
Did you rip that off?
It's weird that like you couldn't pick up, you can't find it yourself until you hear somebody else do it. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, how does that translate, like, in the brain? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to answer that right now. I'm thinking it actually is the person that you're trying to imitate is using their natural voice.
Fair enough. Okay.
When you're watching someone else do it,
right,
you're seeing how they physically do it.
Right. I'm hearing how they're shifting their own.
Kind of understand the musculature or whatever they're doing because it's on some level that's what that's what you're doing in the first place to do impressions in general.
Right. When I hear them do it, the impression doing it, I can feel it in my throat that I can do that. I can hit that. Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Whereas that's an actual sensation that you
get.
We've
talked about that. We've talked about that.
So
it's practice.
Off mic, but that's the thing where like, realizing, I can kind of do goofy voices, or getting comfortable with doing it, like even if for your own entertainment, you know what I mean? And then realizing, I can do a couple that sound like people. It's like you start to feel you're out your own range in a way.
Well, I did a couple of, for when I was at VH1, they were looking, because I was doing studio recording, and I remember...
I don't know. We needed some kind of braggadocious bell.
No, I did a few voices for them.
No, I know you did some voiceover stuff, right?
I did, but not for paid money or anything.
Right.
We need somebody to sound like David Crosby,
or
what you think David Crosby would look like or sound like. So I went into a booth and just did a few things, and I used it on
David Crosby of all things. I feel like David Crosby like, hey,
no, he's more high pitch.
Okay,
he's more like, hey, what about me?
Yeah, you're right.
That's what they wanted me to say. That's the line they wanted me to say. Hey, what about me?
Of all the things, like he got left behind somewhere, and then the entire band left the diner.
Like I did a Michael McDonald for somebody one time for exactly. Every single day,
oh baby, oh.
Now you got to open up the after show.
Now we got to do
with Doobie Brothers.
fucking Michael McDonald.
Actually, I like the Doobie Brothers.
Which Doobie do you be?
I do it. Cornelius.
The fattest doobie.
That's Truby. Okay, I think that's gonna wrap it up.
That's kind of that. They got their name.
Is that, yeah.
They didn't know what to call themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were just like, well, what about these doobies here?
Yeah, right.
With the Doobie Brothers.
Right. There you go. And I was like, no, Mom, that's their real name.
And there's been like 40 members, too.
Yeah, well,
And the bass player's black.
Yeah. He was adopted. His name is Willis. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this week of the main show.
It keeps you running.
The Wicked Theory Podcast. Ooh.
You see what happens?
Michael McDonald.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all you
Good
get.
keyboard player.
Yeah. He could play them keys on the
Well,
board.
he's all over Steely Dan's albums. He's all over.
Is that, yeah?
Yeah.
He's like a go-to guy.
Well, Steely Dan. Well,
he
Steely
did
Dan.
that thing with Patti LaBelle, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Well, there's Steely Dan was two people, and like
Steely
a
and
bunch of
Dan.
musicians
I was
for
just gonna say. Right.
and a bunch of studio musicians. I mean, everybody was on. Mark Knopfler and Clapton is on a couple of their tracks.
Sure. All right. So that's gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna say it again. It's gonna wrap it up.
Sorry, man.
No, I don't mean that to you. I mean that to me. I'm not following through.
We had some good filler here.
We did
man.
we had some great stuff.
We're not doing a 65-minute show no more.
There was a point. There was a point during this show where I was like, "Oh shit." Okay, I thought we had nothing.
Yeah, but you
Now we're over it. Now we're over.
I forgot two whole bits. I forgot
you
email and
forgot that
meanwhile.
email is going to take about 40 minutes.
Right. I didn't think. I forgot that we had any. Actually, I was thinking in my head like emergency because of last week. We didn't have any. So anyway, people, if you like what you heard, and you should, I don't know why you would, but if you want to follow us out in the world, out on Twitters, you can follow Uncle Jay on Twitter at
Uncle Jay at Jason Chickley's on the Twitters.
You can follow Bob.
WTPC.
Oh, man,
I was
thought
trying
you,
to do the whole
you
Bob.
want to do the whole thing, right? And then you can follow me at Wicked Theory. You can find the show at Wicked Theory Podcast. WickedTheory.com, rather. You can find the podcast on iTunes.
get it right, Bill.
Sorry, you would think after all this time. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music.
Cash.
Listen to us live if you want. We're here every Saturday for your entertainment.
We had some good banter today.
We had some good banter. We had young Dom in here. If you're listening live, hang out. We're going to do the after show. If you're not listening live, the after shows, well, they kind of disappear for you. But they end up on our Patreon account if you want to support the show. Dom Torrey just signed up for Patreon.
I got to do that too, I know.
So with that, $1 gets you after show. $3 will get you after shows and the monthly Patreon specials. I apologize to those. We are a little behind, but there's going to be a flood one day.
Is there anything I can
promise
do
you.
for them? Is there anything I can do for the Patreon people just to tide this over? Maybe I'll give them a...
If you want to do some...
I'll do a recording of me reading the Cheesecake Factory menu in Michael Rooker's voice.
Okay. We'll do a special.
Vanilla bean cheesecake.
Vanilla bean. And some kind of raspberry remoulade. All right. So with that, for real this time, we're done skis.
Scoop of vanilla. Scoop of chocolate sauce.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not weird.
Brother Bob, take us out of here.
The Wicked Theory podcast is heard live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern until whenever. Just go to mixler.com/wicked-theory. Mixler is MIXLR. Sign up to join the chat. Then click the follow button to get reminders whenever the show goes live. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever good podcasts are given away for free, and at wickedtheory.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/wickedtheory. There you can get the after show if you miss it live. God forbid. Plus other exclusive episodes. As always, send your emails to podcast@wickedtheory.com.